Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Prodigal Crossroads. Today, I have a guest. His name is Jay Andrews. He's probably one of the biggest Rocky Top fans that I know. Big football fan, man of faith, fellow brother in arms. So let's get right into this. Jay, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I know you and I've been following each other quite a bit on the old Facebook recently, and I know you reached out and said, "Hey, I want to do this thing with you because we want to talk about faith a little bit." So more than happy, more obliged to have another man of faith come on here. So.
Mhm.
Um, let's just get right straight into this thing. Obviously, well, hold on. Before we get into that, we'll talk about the past 3 years, how the Big Ten has run through the SEC. So how's it feel to be little brother since you were, for almost 2 decades, you were the big brother.
Well, look here. Okay. There's nothing you can say to me that can hurt me. I'm a Tennessee fan. I've been a Tennessee fan since, Peyton Manning and then, '98. And then we
Yeah.
fired Philip Fulmer and then Lane Kiffin ruined our program. And then Derek Dooley. Butch Jones. I mean, there's nothing you can do to me. I
What's
would
your
say,
confidence level? What's your
I was
confidence
thinking
level in Hoople?
in Heupel.
Yeah.
Um, he won a lot of points this year when he fired Tim Banks. Yeah, because that's the first time he's ever fired a coach.
Yeah.
He's never fired a coach. Um, and Tim Banks was, which I mean, we had an elite defense the year before,
Hmm.
and it was wasted with that Nico Iamaliava. I'm still mad. I took the time to memorize his name, and then he turned out to be what he is.
Yeah.
But and then this year you had Joey and our receivers, like insane receiver core, our
Right.
running backs, everything. Like offense was good enough. The defense was terrible. So he fired Tim Banks finally. We have a saying in Tennessee. It's called third and banks. So that means it doesn't matter. It could be third and 100. They're gonna convert because Tim Banks is calling the most ridiculous play. Uh, But we went out and who did we get? We got the guy who shut us down when we played Ohio State, and
So that
and
would
then we
be
brought
Jim
some of
Knowles.
his guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
and apparently, like we went out and got the best defensive coordinator that's available.
Yeah. So how are you enjoying like the Alabama downfall? I'll tell
That,
you what, I'm not a
like,
Kalen DeBoer fan, so I mean,
no, Kalen DeBoer he's terrible, and Alabama fans are in denial. They're in denial. We have a lot of them around here. Like
oh yeah,
they tell them like, look, that's a sucker's job. Okay, whoever followed Nick Saban, that's a sucker's job. Like,
yeah,
your job is to get eight alive. You ain't eight alive. You cannot replace him, and
right,
he ain't coming back. He's not coming to save you. And now you're gonna feel what the rest of us felt. Okay, uh,
yeah,
you're gonna get fair calls by the refs that you think are completely unfair and cheating because you don't get the Alabama privilege anymore. Nick Saban ain't that. It's kind of like
yeah.
after Tom Brady left the Patriots, right? The Patriots didn't get those calls anymore.
Yeah, praise God for that.
Yeah.
I love the Alabama downfall, and
Hmm.
and I'll tell you what, I despise with a passion Kirby Smart. So I
I
think we have
just
things in common there.
I want to know where his Amish barber is so I can go get hooked up. That's like who lets him walk around with that haircut and tell him like,
It's
oh,
it's the
you look
visor.
good,
It's the visor
coach.
for me.
Yeah.
It's the visor for me. I can't stand it, dude. I cannot stand it.
You know what? He's a good coach, so but
Yeah,
he is as much as I don't like him. He's and the things that seem stupid that he got from Nick Saban, like tuck your shirt in. I think it's a big problem with Tennessee's defense and the discipline. Was they're running around? We got players running around with their shirts like tucked up under their pads, the whole belly hanging out. Like I know, like everyone's like, oh, chill out, they're acting like a boomer, but no, I mean it's little things. Which I mean, Marine Corps teaches you, details matter.
yeah.
And when they run around, like,
Discipline
you
on
can't
the
even tuck your
field, not
shirt
off the
in.
field for Georgia. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And that's part of it. I mean, like you can wear what you want to off the field, but I mean, at least wear your
Yeah.
uniform correctly when you're on the field.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into this thing. So I believe you're from Tennessee, obviously, Rocky Top fan. Most football fans stay, they around the area that they're, of the place they grow up. So give us a little breakdown of your early childhood, upbringing, and things like that, because that can be really
Mhm.
interesting for certain parts of the countries.
Yeah. Um, well, it may be hard for some people to believe, but growing up in rural Tennessee, we did have electricity and running water, indoor plumbing, that sort of thing. So uh, I didn't grow up with money by any means. I didn't go hungry. Uh, we were poor. We just didn't. I guess we were too poor to know how poor we were, and we lived so far out that we probably had better than some people who aren't poor. I don't know. Like a lot of most of our meat was almost all our meat was deer meat. Like that's what we did. There was my mom divorced my dad when before I was one, so I never knew them being together. But she married my stepdad when I was 5, so I have one full sister and then two stepbrothers, and then later we had a half sister. But 4 kids, 2 adults, freezer full of deer meat, horse farm. We trained walking horses. That's that was a big thing back then. Nowadays, not such a big thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, we lived out in the country. I don't know.
Do
Um,
you have a relationship with both your stepdad and your dad?
um, yeah, a good relationship with my stepdad now. It wasn't always that way. I mean,
Yeah.
but my dad, not so much. Um, that's kind of like once you have kids. I mean, you have kids, your perspective on things changes, and
Yeah.
it's about what's best for them, right? So,
Right.
um, yeah, so I didn't want to have any relationships that come and go based on you know anything other than unconditional love, and that really wasn't his thing. So, uh, but my kids are happy. Me and my stepdad get along now. We didn't
Yeah.
always, of course. I don't know anyone that gets just got along with their step parents, completely, or even honestly their real parents. Um,
Hmm.
but the older I get, and honestly, even coming into boot camp, I was a little bit older. That's why I said, like, last time I saw you, you seemed you were young to me. Like most of the guys that I served with were really young to me because most when they're like 17 or 18. I
Yeah.
turned 22 in boot camp. Like, I was an old
Oh,
man in boot camp. Like that's ancient,
yeah.
right? In boot camp, when you have 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds who are like just came like straight from their parents' house or straight out of high school. I'd already went to college,
Yeah.
um, and that kind of thing. So uh, I don't even know why we're going there, but lost my train of thought.
No, you're good. So you grew up in a rural community, and
Hmm.
is it like the area that I grew up in? My high school
Hmm.
was actually like seven little communities together. So
Hmm.
it was a graduating class like 130 some people. So it was like your school like was it like a conglomerate of cities coming or towns coming together, or was it just like some sporadic?
So yeah, I grew up in Giles County. I was very outskirts of it, which anyone from Middle Tennessee would probably know, but wouldn't expect anyone else to know Tennessee geography. But we have we had two major schools in the county. One was Giles County High, and one was Richland. I went to Richland, and Richland was K through 12, so kindergarten through 12th grade. They've gotten bigger now, but I would ride the bus. And my bus ride was about an hour and a half. Not because I live an hour and a half from the school, but because the route it would take around this massive county, through these foothills. Like where I grew up, we don't have mountains. Where I live now, like I live at the foot of a mountain, Appalachian Mountains here. But when I grew up, we didn't have mountains. It was just it's foothills and hollers. Like I mean, there's no flat land really. It's just so you're either going up or you're going down.
Right.
Um, so the bus route go all around this. So it was an hour and a half, and at Richland, like I said, K through 12, my graduating class I think was around 106 people, and
Wow.
most of those people, like, you went through kindergarten, first grade, second grade, all the way through with the same people, and it's actually weird. I didn't go to any of my high school reunions, honestly. I don't know. I mean, when you go through boot camp, the Marine Corps, the things that used to appeal to you aren't really your thing anymore.
Right.
Different paths, different tracks in life. So I have caught, cross paths with a few of them. It's good to see people, but yeah, I don't go back to where I came from very much. That's kind of the reason I left, because out there, I said there's nothing. There's no town. We weren't a town. We didn't have a single red light. There's 30 minutes in any direction to a grocery store. Most of our like going out to eat was you go to a gas station. Like you'd have your local like country store. So we did farm work. I worked tobacco fields a lot growing up. Uh, I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. It's terrible. I don't know if you've ever worked tobacco, but it's not fun.
Nah.
Not
So
much farm work is.
you said your graduating class was like 106 people. Like, were you involved in like sport? I know you said you're a rural community. Were you
Yeah,
involved in like sports? Because I would assume that would be
yeah,
hard with,
yeah,
your bus route being an
yeah,
hour and a half, and you
yeah.
know to and from, and like getting picked up after school probably. Like
Mhm.
what did you play sports and stuff like that? No.
Now, I always wanted to play football, but my stepdad, we had a farm to take care of. I remember he'd always tell me, there ain't no money in playing games, boy. I mean, that's a ridiculous thing now, looking at it. But there's plenty of money in playing football now. But
Yeah.
if you're good, but our team was terrible. It really was. Now that they did pretty good this last year, I heard. But I mean, that's one of the things. Like, you want to do better for your kids, and I don't hold that against my stepdad. Like, they had no way to get me back and forth to practice. It just wasn't a thing. But the work ethic that I learned from farm work and keeping up our land and stuff. I mean, that served me better than what anyone's ever learned on a football field. Like, I know my son, he plays football, and I'm glad that he's learning some discipline, and he's learning that a little bit of pain ain't going to hurt you, you know.
All right.
And there's a difference in feeling pain and being injured, and some things are tough. You just grit your teeth, you make it through it, and you'll be happier that you did it once you get on the other side. But yeah, I mean, I look at all of that in my upbringing as it really gave me a leg up. I think that's where I was going earlier, but like in boot camp and stuff, like these younger kids, when the drill instructor may have threatened death, of course they don't do that. They would never do that. But yeah,
I don't know.
when when
Yeah.
when they make threats, they actually believed them, right? That you sit in their face like, oh, they may kill it, they may kill me. Me realizing like this actually ain't too bad. We guaranteed food. Like, I'm eating at least twice a day, even if they only let me eat for like 10 seconds for one meal. Like, I got a place to sleep. I got clothes. I don't have to worry about what's happening. Like, so I'm pretty good. I had that conversation with a guy I work with. He was in the army. It's like, looking back, most of us guys in the Marine Corps, no one really came from just your perfect normal, family settings. Uh,
Yeah.
and if they did, they were the weirdos. Like, they, they, they were weird, like Walter. You remember Walter?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember Walter. Yeah. Reminds me
Good
of
kid.
Dilbert. Yeah, Dilbert.
It snowed. What was that? That was what, 2010. We got the big snow in Jacksonville, and the
Hmm.
whole state shut down. But Walter comes outside and he's got a full snowsuit. Walter's from Florida, and he's got these massive like Arctic gloves and a snowsuit. I'm like, Walter, what? Where'd you even get that? He's like, my grandma sent it to me. Of course she did. course your grandma sent you a snowsuit to North Carolina.
Yeah. Oh man. So you're you said you grow up in rural community. Were you
Mhm,
guys like in a church attending family? Was like a like around here sometimes out in the country there's like these old style churches where they're it's like it's one it almost looks like one of those old
mhm,
schoolhouse buildings.
mhm.
And it serves as a double thing, and it still stands as a church today. So is there still was that like your kind of church you went to growing up, or did you not go to church, or
Mhm.
like
Yeah, so my mom, like any good mom,
yeah,
wants her kids to grow up, love Jesus. She was taking us around, like trying to find her church home, I guess. Um, and I don't want to talk bad about anyone's church. There are different types, but she took me to some that were just they were a little scary. I'll say. Um, I guess I wasn't ready for the Holy Spirit. I don't know, but it ended up,
charismatics?
uh, yeah, like pew jumping,
Oh man,
everyone speaking in tongues, which I mean, I know speaking in tongues is a thing, but I didn't imagine it quite like that.
right.
But like I said, I'm not gonna judge because I don't know, but I just felt like that probably wasn't the right spot for me. We ended up Church of Christ is really big in the South. You
Okay.
can't throw a rock in any direction without hitting a Church of Christ, and this is not Mormon Church of Christ of Latter Day Saints, it's Church of
Right.
Christ. Um, they there's no music allowed in their worship. They sing a cappella, which is fine. They're seen as like very strict, um, and they also pride themselves on knowing their scripture, like inside and out. But ironically, I think in my like young adult years, being in that type of church with the people, like the men looking around, actually kind of drove me away from it because
Hmm.
like some hypocritical stuff. When you're young, immature, that's how you think about things, right?
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, oh no, these people, and also it wasn't until recently I learned that some of the stuff that they did, not necessarily like it was misrepresented like grossly um,
Hmm.
to me as a young man. Like one of the things that always bothered me is they'd say, once you age of accountability, you're baptized. Um, when you sinned, ask forgiveness. What they told me was God doesn't hear the prayers of a sinner. Like, well, that's a loaded statement. That's a
Yeah.
loaded statement right there. Maybe God's not going to hear the prayers of a willful sinner, someone who continues to deny knowing the truth, knowing it's wrong, and doing it on purpose.
Hmm.
But what kind of kid who wants forgiveness is can be classified in that category, right? But so there, and like I said, not all Church of Christ apparently do it this way. Me as a young man, I assumed all Church of Christ were the same. But so they would every church really has a like a song of invitation during the service. If you need to be feel like you want church to pray for you,
Hmm.
but they use that as some type of humiliation ritual, I guess. Like
Wow.
so you'd get up, you'd go down the pew, and you tell the pastor, whatever your sin was. He'd announce your sin to the congregation, and then they'd all pray for your forgiveness. And and for someone who claims to pride themselves in scripture based stuff,
Yeah.
that's a lot of things they just didn't have answers for. And the whole thing, the age old saying, like, oh, you just gotta have faith. Right? Yeah, I mean, you know what the IQs are, the people that did the job we did, the Marine Corps, like we're
Yeah.
top of the barrel.
Yep.
that just don't cut it for me. It never has, and it doesn't have to, um, for a lot of things, because the answers are there, like in black and white. You just have to, I think, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open, right? So
Yep.
go look for it, find it. Um, but me as a young man, I just want, you know what? This is ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. They're worshiping imaginary God, and they're all stupid, and I'm going to prove how stupid they are. And I'll do it with, my intellect, my intelligence. I mean, for years, whatever, I just lived my life, especially like when I was in the Marine Corps, you know, alcoholism,
Yeah.
whatever
Oh
else,
yeah.
that's just what it is. And, but getting out, getting married, having kids, and then the more you ponder on things, the more you experience in life. And I guess wisdom and experience, kind of the same thing there. The more I dug into science, I went into healthcare, and the more I look at, what we know about the human body, just everything, it all points back to one thing. The same thing that Einstein and all of these other very intelligent people considered the smartest people in the world. Even Stephen Hawkins came around at the end. Like, look, there's a variable that we can't find, and there's only one answer. And it's always
Yeah.
been the answer, and it's a creator. Right? So,
Yeah.
and everything for me, that I saw a shirt and I was like, wow, that's perfect. It says, God found me on the same road I took to avoid him. Like, I'm going out trying to disprove, and he took that and showed me how I needed to see. Like, no, look, you like your logic and reason. Well, here it is. Boom, circle right back to the center every single time.
Yeah.
And then, things start to make sense. And I know it's controversial as far as I think it's getting a little, it's getting out there now, and it's not part of the Holy Bible, but the Book of Enoch. I don't know. Have you ever read into that? It's
No, I've heard it's good. I've never read into it, but I probably will. I've been reading a
mhm,
couple different books, but
yeah.
yeah.
Now there's Enoch 1, 2, and 3. Enoch 1 is probably just the original. 2 and 3 written in different styles. They could be passed down by word of mouth, but it's got a lot of the answers for the questions. Because Genesis just skips over things, right? It's just, oh, and then
Right.
found favor and daughters of men and Nephilim. There's a thing and blah, 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 blah. Like, whoa, what happened there? Let's go back
Yeah.
here. So what happened exactly? But Enoch will go through and actually name the angels. Um, you know, who were fallen, who caused this, who came up with this, and all these things. But it kind of just fills in some blanks for stubborn people like me who need the what, how, why, and interesting. I don't. It's not required reading. I'm not making that argument, but for some people like me, I
Right.
think there's a reason that scroll was buried in the Dead Sea Scrolls, right next to that scroll of Isaiah that
Yeah.
predated what they had by 1,000 years and was word
Mhm.
for word exact. I think that there's a reason that was in there. It may not be in there for everyone, but that was the last straw that got me right back around. I mean, I don't know if I told you, but the whole reason I even kind of looked into the military is because I was fascinated with like UFOs.
Okay.
I actually wanted to join. I actually wanted to join the Air Force first, but they really got on my nerves. Through the recruiting process, they just lazy,
Mhm.
drug their feet. And I was like, I'm ready to go. Like, I need to go. And I'd walk past the Marine recruiter because they were right beside each other, and he'd be standing out there in his dress blue deltas. He had this really awesome scar across his face. He'd be sitting out there smoking a cigarette. And, what's going on, big dog? You ready to come talk to us? Like, no, I'm not joining the Marine Corps, man. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it ain't that. Okay. He's like, all right, man. Then you just figure out what you need to do. If you want to talk to us, I'm here. I went and talked to the Army. The Navy tried to approach me, and they're like bell bombs. Like, bro, get back. Don't. Absolutely not. I'm 6'1". You think I'm not going on a boat? Okay, I'm not getting in your submarine. I'm not wearing your Popeye outfit. I'm not doing it. And then I went back talked to the Air Force, and it really made me mad because they just pretended like they didn't know who I was. And there's a Marine dude again. Walked past. Say, hey, big dog, what's going on? You gonna join the Air Force? I'm like, you know what, man, I've let everyone else give me the spiel. Let's hear what you got to say. And I'll never forget. I went in there, and I think it was pretty common back then. But he had this bag of like tiles with like words on them. He dumped them out. He's like, pick out the three things that are most important to you in life. Okay, I don't know what I picked out. It was probably something stupid that I thought sounded cool or tough. He's like, all right, yeah, that's cool. He's like, let me show you what matters to the Marine Corps. He's like, honor, courage, commitment. And he goes through the whole spiel, honor, blah, 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 courage, blah, 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 commitment. And he's like, so what do you think? I said, but I got to tell you, the Air Force offered me $10,000 signing bonus. The Army offered me $40,000 signing bonus, put me as an E3, and give me a job in Intel. What do you got to offer? And he went from like a friendly face to just like stone cold. I mean, you know, you know the look. He just
Oh yeah,
boom.
oh yeah, yeah.
He wasn't friendly anymore, and he leaned forward and he said, "Son, if you don't want to be a United States Marine, you can get the f out of my chair and leave." All right. Ooh, where do I sign? Like, that's what
Hook,
I've
line,
been.
and sinker.
That's what I've been looking for. Like that. Like
Yeah.
that's what I was looking for. Some sense of purpose. But anyways, Air Force UFOs. I thought maybe if I get in the Air Force, I'd be able to find out what's going on with these UFOs. My granddad was a pilot in World War II. He
Okay.
flew C-130s over Europe, and he'd tell me these stories growing up. He called them his. He just called them his little gremlins. Um, these lights, these orbs of light. He would show up over his wing when he's flying over Europe. He said the first time, like he freaked out. He didn't know what it was, but it didn't do anything. It just sat there. He said, and as quick as it would show up, it just, boom, it's gone. He said, and other guys saw it, but they couldn't talk to their chain of command about it because they'd say they're seeing little green men and they're pull their flight status. He died 2004, and I'm getting ready to join the Marine Corps at that time. Like 2007 is when I joined. So I'm watching History Channel documentaries back when History Channel used to actually play documentaries. Uh, and there was a documentary on something called the Foo Fighters, and it's exactly what he was talking about. All of these pilots being interviewed about these orbs of light, and the United States thought it was Germany. Germany thought it was the United States. Russia thought it was Germany or the United States, and then Europe thought it was probably the United States or Germany, and we were just lying about it.
Hmm.
But at the end of the war, like there's still no answer. No one knew what it was. It didn't do any damage. They just showed up. Uh, so I was like, bent on. I wanted to know what that was at that point. Um, but point being, like I know my granddad, and he wasn't lying. He
Right.
told me a lot of things about World War II, and he wasn't lying about that. So that's always thought like, what is that? And it's kind of like an if or like if that's an alien, then religion probably not the answer. But then as I got older, the picture started to form like, wait, these don't have to be like extraterrestrial. Who says that they were alien in any way, shape, or form? Like they were strange to the people who saw them.
Right.
But then you go back in the Old Testament and you read a lot of things sound very strange, right?
Yeah.
The way that the angels are described, and they're not little babies with wings.
Right.
right?
Right.
There's
Yeah.
a reason anytime an angel shows up in the Bible, what's the first thing they say?
Do not
Don't
be
be
afraid.
afraid. Every single time. That, why do they have to say that?
Right.
Right? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
obviously it's something scary, right? But yeah, and with the Book of Enoch just kind of connected those dots, and then lately, even with the government coming out with this, finally acknowledging a lot of things, and uh, Anna Paula Luna, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
The representative for Florida,
Yep.
went on the Joe Rogan podcast. She's like on the task force of the UAP stuff, and she brought up the Book of Enoch and basically just told everyone, like, "Look, if you want to know what these are, read the Book of Enoch. You're told what they are.
Yeah.
Like
I'll have to dive
this
into it.
does not. There's nowhere none of these whistleblowers ever said extraterrestrial. They said transdimensional, and even the Book of Enoch breaks that down, like because Enoch is taken to look at the different areas of heaven, and I mean, I'm conspiracy theorist to the core, or conspiracy truther at this point. I don't know,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, CIA document on a holographic uh, universe theory. Have you read into that? I mean, that's, and it's really cool because some of the young people at work I talk with about, like, they have trouble like understanding like God and how they fit into things, and the simulation theory has been brought up, can't be disproven. Like, simulation theory is perfect because the that's how this works. Okay,
Hmm.
so for a gamer, like, look, think of God as the one who created the program. Okay,
Yep.
you program a game on a computer, right? Well, you are a player in the game, right? There's no way that you can conceive anything about the computer that your program's running. You don't, much less the person who physically programmed the game. That being
Sure.
exists beyond your ability to even comprehend or see, and but he can interact with you in a lot of different ways.
Hmm.
He could even create a character, an avatar, play the game perfectly,
Yeah.
and show you how it's done. Right? Log out, log back in. And
Yeah.
this is, you just have to kind of, we put these blocks in our head about, how God has to work, and you don't get to put rules on these things. It's, I guess, opening that, as removing those blocks from my mind about what God's capable of, really helped with the faith and understanding aspect of things. And also, the more I know, the more I realize, like, I know nothing. So
Right.
it's,
Yeah. I mean, there's so much out there,
mhm,
and you had to feel vindicated when when the government's like, UFOs are real, but we can't tell you that they're fully real because
mhm,
we're gonna crash the entire world basically. So like
yeah,
you've known this,
yeah,
and then with like the invention of the Space Force, I mean you're a
yeah,
decade too late at this point.
yeah.
So
And is it the invention of the Space Force, or are we just recognizing it at this point? Did we take
right,
an agency that was ran, what, by NSA or behind the shadows, and bring it to the forefront and say, oh yeah, we have this new thing that we've actually been doing for a while? Uh, but yeah, the reason, I mean, I had this discussion with someone I work with today. A lot of Christians, like, they'll read their Bible, that they'll profess faith in Jesus and God. Okay, well, what about the things that they've told you? Like, have you read? There's wild stuff in that book right there. Wild stuff.
hmm
Get down to Revelations. Like, are you prepared for when Revelation starts happening to not be, uh, fooled? Because it says that,
yeah,
people with the highest faith are going to be fooled by this. Like, they're going to. So, is it, like, I'm always on the lookout? Like, is it the UFO thing? Is that what it is? because they condition you with these movies and stuff. That's why they can't come out and tell you everything because it would crash the world because the world is ran by you know people who don't follow God. I mean,
Right.
the world is Satan's playground. So, I mean, I don't know if you follow any of this Epstein file stuff, but
Oh yeah.
read 1 or 2 pages of it. All you need to know is that
Yeah.
this is exactly what the Bible's talking about. Like, this is
Yeah.
evil stuff. So, either you believe in the spiritual warfare and it's real and it's happening every single day all around you, or you're asleep at the wheel. And I don't think you can afford to be asleep at the wheel. Like it says that you need to have a watchful eye, and Christ's people will know the season, right? So um, I think it's on all of us to keep a watchful eye and don't put so much faith in man-made things and men.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
how?
It's insane, like how in the past year, how much like the veil has been torn, like stuff lifted off our eyes, where you're like, that's not real. That's
Yeah,
terrible. Like the world is run by, people, they chastise Alex Jones when he says, the world's run by satanic pedophiles and Jews. Like that's what it is.
yes,
There's no hiding it. I mean, they just released 2.5 million documents. It's like 8% of what's actually out
hmm
there. There's more to come. So I mean, just be ready. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's absolutely insane. And then if you, like you said, if you can't see it, you're asleep at the wheel,
yeah,
because it's right there in your face. And if you don't see it, you don't have the the gift of discernment. That's
hmm
I mean that's all it is. So
and
and go ahead.
I was going to say, I've recently read the parable of the servants and the master with the talents, giving the talents to them.
Yeah,
And it's not like a talent like you can juggle, right? It's a sack of money. Is what talents are. It's a
correct.
sum of money, but it's a parable. Like the money is given to them by the master. That means that God has given everyone certain abilities. Some people more than others, but it doesn't matter what you're given. You're expected to use it for His purpose, and you
Right,
can't go and hide and to pretend like these things don't exist or to practice, safe Christianity, where people don't think you're crazy. Like to me,
right.
that's like the one who went and buried his talents.
Yep.
Like that's said, you wicked and lazy servant, right? So yeah, it's easier to do that. For some people, just close your eyes, plug your ears, la 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 la. I don't hear anything, I don't see anything, everything's good. But that's not the reality. Uh, so I mean, I kind of take it upon myself. Uh, I don't care if people think I'm crazy. Like my kids know all the conspiracies. They're
Yeah, I mean,
totally.
so
I
so do
tell them.
mine. But all my kids are homeschooled, so
Yeah.
they, my wife and I talk about these things. But
hmm
like you said, like progressive Christianity it's so watered down that biblical Christianity seems radical,
hmm
and it's like
hmm
I'm just doing what the Bible. I didn't come to faith until just a couple years ago, like hardcore, like into faith,
hmm
and reading the Bible and then like diving things in because things happened, and I'm just like, okay, this is it. What I'm seeing from other things aren't real. Like we've left churches because of
hmm
it. We've left Bible studies because of it, and it's and uh, I don't want to blame boomers and Gen X,
hmm
but I
Yeah.
do blame boomers and Gen X.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do because 2 generations ruined the church. To
hmm
me, they ruined. I would even say that 2 generations ruined America. And like
Absolutely. Yeah.
like the things that happened that they would care about back then, like I don't care about now.
hmm
I like reparations for the people from Germany from 1940s.
Yeah.
Don't care. Reparations for the slaves. Don't care. That doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
I'm focused on now. And just
It's always
those
crazy
people
to
just want
me.
to.
Also, they focus on the atrocities committed against everyone, except for what is it like? 20 million over in Russia that the Bolsheviks completely
Yeah.
slaughtered and buried. I
Yeah.
mean, and most of those were Christian, right? So, I
Right.
mean, we won't even talk about who the Bolsheviks were and who led them, but
Right. Yeah.
uh,
I think people would know
that's
where
something to
that
look
one was
into.
going.
Yeah, yeah. But or another interesting one that the that six-pointed star. I've looked into it, and there's only one mention in the entire Bible of the
Star
six-pointed
Remfin.
star. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the exact same star.
Yep.
The exact same. And I mean, you go to Revelations. It mentions that same group from back then in the Old Testament. Basically,
Yep.
you know, so and that doesn't mean that an entire people are in on this, but there is a like the Antichrist. I've been reading more about Antichrist, and I think people just expect it to be some big, powerful, evil person, but that's not what Antichrist means. I mean, as far as I've read, what Antichrist means is any force that is telling people or is pushing the agenda that Jesus Christ is not exactly who he said he was.
Correct.
They are the anti believers in Christ. They want people to reject Christ. That's an antichrist. It
Yep.
doesn't have to be one person. It can be an organization. It can be just a thought revolution. It can be a lot of things. That's why
Yeah.
it's important. And like, I'm not super huge on Jelly Roll. He can sing. He's kind of annoying to me, but people say what they want. Like, oh, he's performative Christian. All I know is he gets on the stage surrounded by a bunch of Satan worshipers and people who don't care about Christianity, and he professes faith in Jesus and glory to Jesus every time he gets on the stage.
Yeah.
I mean,
7 times at the Grammys. Yep.
yeah. So I mean, like, you hate on him, but what are you doing, right?
Right.
How are you bringing glory to God?
Yeah. So
Because
I mean,
this
go back to your
dude,
point. Yeah. First John 2:22 straight up says, if you don't have the fun, if you don't have the son, you don't have the father. If you don't have the father, you don't have the son. That you are an antichrist.
hmm
I mean, it's
yeah,
plain and simple right there. Mormons, Muslims, Jews, Jehovah Witnesses. If you said he's not, you're an antichrist, and then that's the way I see it. I'll pray for you,
right,
but that's
yeah,
God's vengeance is upon you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there can be redemption. I mean, Paul was an antichrist at one point,
Correct.
and until he got the antichrist knocked plumb out of him, along with this vision uh,
Yep.
by Christ, right? And then he saw things differently. But I mean, I also like I don't know, the more I read the Bible in my 30s, really, and again, heard that the guy who wrote the book, The Case for Christ, saw him on Joe Rogan podcast, and hearing him talk about, I was like, wow, we had kind of similar past there, except for I wasn't, trying to disprove my wife. I was just trying to disprove everyone, that made me angry as a young man, as a child when I was going to Church of
Hmm.
Christ. But yeah, and you go back through the Old Testament, and after you understand the New Testament and you go back to the Old Testament, the entire thing's about Jesus. He's all in it.
Yeah.
Like he's all in there. There's even was it when was it Joshua who wrestled
Jacob.
Jacob?
Yep.
So if you go back and like we're talking about the blue letter Bible, look at the translations of these. And this is I use AI. I use Grok a lot. I've set up a project with Grok, and some of the parameters like we're going to use the King James version, the Holy Bible, and we will go forward assuming that it is a historically accurate document from cover to cover, and then
Right.
start there, and I'll just start asking questions, plugging some stuff in, pulling data, And one of the things I taught to do, I said, create me a document starting in the beginning of Genesis all the way through Revelations. And I want you to tell me every single instance that Jesus Christ, Yeshua, in any form, period, is present or mentioned in the Bible. And I was blown away by how intuitive it was. It picked things out that I'd never heard before. And then I was
Hmm.
like, explain this, explain why you said this. And I'm like, whoa. And then I go and I look through my blue letter. I'm like, wow, that's insane. So um, Jacob wrestling with God, when you get down to it, it looks like he was actually wrestling with Jesus
Hmm.
before Jesus came in human form. And then
Right.
also Hagar, um, who she was talking to, it reads in the King James version like she's talking to an angel. You go back and had AI like explain why you're saying this. This is the only instance that a so-called angel, which angel just means messenger. Like it's not angel is not a being. It's a job title, right?
Right.
It's an action messenger. But this is the only instance that a so-called angel is ever acting on its own authority. Like it speaks like I
Yep.
I'm doing this, and it even some of the wording. It's the only place in any Old Testament book where you'll find that wording talking about an angelic being because it's not. It's Jesus. Literally, Jesus is speaking with her and acting on his authority, which is his father's authority. But
Yeah.
every other angel, like what was it? Even the angel was it Michael? Fighting with Satan over the body of Moses, like the Lord
Yep.
rebuke you, right? Not I rebuke you because he holds no authority. The authority is God's. The Lord rebuke you.
Yeah.
In this instance, with Hagar, and it's multiple times, and she's talking to the same entity each time, and it reads like it's Jesus. And of course, the sacrifice in place of Isaac, all of these things. Another interesting thing,
Sodom and
I don't know.
Gomorrah. He's in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yep.
Yahweh on
Um,
heaven raised down to Yahweh on earth. Yeah.
Sodom and Gomorrah, like right previous to that, that's always been interesting to me because Abraham's sitting out his camp tent. I imagine it's a little tent out out in the field, right? And there's a tree or whatever, and these angels walk up. He recognizes them immediately, like for who they are, and he actually calls them, Lord. So were they all angels, or it doesn't really elaborate too much, but he knew
Yeah. There's three
immediately
of them.
um, who they were. And of course, he goes through and asks them, if there's 25, would you spare it? If there's just one, would you spare it? Like, sure, but they knew that there's not. But it's interesting because who's doing the bargaining? If they came with orders on behalf of God, they don't have the authority to bargain, right? So
Right.
who was he knew someone there, right? So I mean that's always been interesting. And then they went to Sodom and Gomorrah, and people only knew that they aren't usually there. They they didn't have to say don't be afraid, right? So it's not like
Hmm.
one of those messengers. It was that one's always like stuck out to me, like the small details there. Probably lost in translation because ancient Hebrew doesn't translate just great to English.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I would see those videos where they show the words in Hebrew in the Bible, and they're like, well, this one word means this, but when you break it down, this word means like seven words. So,
mhm,
so then I saw the one today where it was like the first word in the Bible actually shows you Jesus, like the very first word from the beginning. I'm like,
mhm.
man, this is like Hebrew. That'd be so much fun to learn, but I feel like it'd be so time consuming.
What about the names? Have you seen
Oh
that?
yeah, the genealogy, yeah,
And then the meanings. of the names as
Yep.
they go down, like in Hebrew, like
Yep.
whoa, that's
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah.
that's
I
kind
mean,
of
there's
stuff that you can
you
tell
can't
that's why
make it
it's, like,
up. Like
important.
it's written like over thousands of years by what, hundreds of people. Like, how'd they get together? They didn't have the internet. They didn't they didn't have they didn't have Zoom meetings to talk about how they're gonna make all this stuff fit together. And then you got the New Testament, and they're gonna get together with that.
Right,
I mean, and Jesus didn't have a fact checker running around behind him like, okay, the next prophecy you need to fulfill is this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. So we're gonna
right.
go here and do this, here and do this. Oh, oh. So it's like, but the interesting part is, uh, I've also asked AI, like, look, uh, read the Holy Bible from cover to cover. What is your logical, reasonable explanation? I said, I don't want opinions of scholars. I don't care about scholars. I don't care about other human thoughts. I want only your machine logic and reasoning. What do you think? Um, and it spat it out and said, Jesus Christ is the Son of God. We're sent down here as a sacrifice to atone for the sins of humans. Like, cool. Me too,
Yeah,
bro. Like, so I mean, it's like, I do, I like the AI tool. I hope it doesn't get corrupted to a point where it's completely unusable in the future. But it's
yeah,
been really good for Bible study and cross referencing because, and that's just another point. It goes to show you like when you need a tool like that to cross reference and put all these things together, does it make sense that ancient people thousands of years ago, just got all this right by accident? They don't seem like it's not
right.
very logical.
Correct. Yeah, I always say
Yeah,
that, we don't give them as much credit as for being as smart as we don't think that they were. I mean, they were intelligent
yeah,
for their time, but I mean, to translate perfectly from Hebrew to Greek to, like across the
hmm
continents, the different authors and,
hmm
all that stuff. I mean,
yeah,
it's insane how much, I mean, how perfectly it all fits together,
yeah.
especially at a time where like literacy was nothing, you know? I mean,
Oh
that's the
yeah.
big thing for me.
I think I lost you there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. It just kind of froze on the screen.
No, sorry. Yeah, the big thing is just like it's like the literacy, like it didn't exist back then,
Hmm.
but they got it perfect, and
Yeah.
that's what really gets
hmm
me.
Yeah. I really
So because
enjoy
for me,
reading Matthew because of that.
yeah, I really like to dive. Like I'm very just like you, I'm very like data driven.
Hmm
That's the way our personalities are, especially for the job that we had in the Marine Corps.
hmm
We had to be data driven. Like you want to see proof of things,
Yeah.
and that's the way I am, and, what really got me, like, when I discovered, like, Wes I don't know if you know who Wes Huff is.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy, like, I was like, this dude's good."
hmm
That got me really big into it and, all that stuff, so, yeah, it's fun learning the Bible, talking the Bible, sharing these kind of talks. A
hmm
lot of people don't like to do it, but it's fun.
Yeah. Wes, I really like Wes. I think Wes comes from a really good place, but he is so hung up on this uh, Codex Sinaiticus. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah,
So, and that's where your ESV comes from, and a lot of your newer translations. It's easier to
yeah,
read, right? And but there's some missing stuff, and a lot of the missing passages, people say, oh, it's inconsequential, it's not really a big deal, but the one I didn't even know there were missing passages between the two. I was like, why are people stuck on King James when these are easier to read, and if the message isn't changed, but it is changed in a lot of different areas. So I think when the Codex Sinaiticus originated what Alexandria, So it's kind of, and you can, the chain of custody, I guess, can be traced back. So that it's the oldest source material that we still have, possession of.
Mhm.
But in the King James was sourced from Greek,
Vatican is, yeah,
but that does not, the source in Greek wasn't, that's not the original source, right? So saying like, oh, well, the Codex Sinaiticus is older because we can trace it, that's not true because you don't know where the source of the King James came from, but it has everything that Codex Sinaiticus has, plus some extra. And they say, oh, well, we think it was added in. There's one in particular, one little verse, and it's when the apostles were trying to cast a demon out of a man, and they couldn't do it. So they went and woke up Jesus. They brought him. Jesus cast the demon out, and they said, teacher, why couldn't we do this? And he said, because your lack of faith.
hmm
And then what's left out is the next part where he says, with these type of demons, he says that what fasting and prayer
yeah,
is how you overcome this. How is that inconsequential? Fasting and prayer, because he's also said in other areas, in Matthew, he's telling them when you fast, don't be like the Pharisees who paint up their face and make a big show of it. Because
yeah,
truly, I tell you, they've already received their reward. Right? So
correct.
he didn't say
Yep,
if you fast, he says when.
when,
And
yep,
then he's telling you that the reason you couldn't is because your lack of faith, and how to overcome that lack of faith is by fasting and prayer. Because what did Jesus do before he carried out his ministry? He went
he
and prayed
fasted
and
40
fasted
days.
for 40 days. Right?
Yep,
Satan himself came and tried to tempt him, which
hmm
what we said on Facebook on that post the other day, Satan knows scripture too. And he showed it right there when he was tempting him. But Jesus let him know, like, no, scripture, and I'm the word, right? So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, I mean, there's some very important differences. I don't really know how to approach that though, because if someone's reading the ESV and that's how they're introduced to reading the Bible, that's better than not reading the Bible, right? I don't want to discourage them and say,
right,
oh, you're reading that, well, that's it's missing stuff, right? Because King James, it's a tough read, but so I don't, I don't know. I don't. I'll I'll flip over on certain verses just to see what it says. Like if I'm having trouble, like what is this talking about here? Flip over and the ESV and like, what does that say? Okay, and then flip back over. Yeah, maybe I don't know. But also an interesting. I don't know. Do you know who Kent Hovind is?
no,
He's an older Baptist preacher. Very very smart. He pointed out like the Codex Sinaiticus comes from the Alexandrian sect of Christianity, and they had some weird rituals that they were doing. It's a very ancient sect of Christianity. Like you had different groups, after Jesus died, but the Alexandrians were also one of the ones mentioned in the martyrdom of Stephen because they didn't agree with the message that Stephen was telling. So they were part of the ones who killed Stephen. It's like okay, that's weird that their version of the Bible also has some things left out. You know? So I don't have the answers on everything, but I always like to study and look at the differences. Like, does it mean something? Does it not? It's good to know one way or the other.
yeah,
It may make sense later down the road. I don't know.
yeah, and what I enjoy about it is that they're constantly finding old things to reaffirm things that they already know.
Hmm.
And I think that's like the most important part because no matter which way you look at it, like if you're talking to like an atheist or a Muslim or something,
Hmm.
and they always say, well, the Bible's been changed so many times.
Hmm.
Well, it hasn't.
Hmm.
It's all right here. I mean the Isaiah scroll, the Dead Sea Scrolls is like the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's what that's like the almost like the coin in your pocket
Mhm.
when you're talking to someone. Well, the Bible's been changed, so no, no, it hasn't. You know,
Yeah.
there might be like a word change, a grammar change, but the meaning is still there. That's what I mean. That's the point across, especially when you're talking about people who want to come to the faith. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's the important part. I try not to get hung up on like little things. Like core doctrine is like the big one. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I like to stick with. But yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, yeah, but it's just like it's good to have like that knowledge, and that's where I get like the West Huff and
Yeah.
um like I don't follow like any Catholic apologetics,
Hmm. Hmm.
or anything like that because I'm not Catholic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um,
Catholic. That's some weird stuff to me. It really is. I don't. Some of the things I just can't. It's almost like politics, right? Is like they're very tribal. Right? Throw
yeah,
the reason out. Like we're not going to reason. We're not going to use facts. It's just you know we're the oldest. Like, you're not though, right? I mean, Eastern Orthodox probably claims that title. Um,
yeah,
so I'm sure they'd have something to say about that. But
they're
um,
tribal too.
yeah, I mean, fact of the matter is, Jesus only went into what would be considered a church once, and from what I remember, he was flipping tables and slinging whips. Um, you know, there's no like the whole denomination thing is also it's just weird to me and it's divisive. But I mean, I see a lot of instances where the gospel overcomes that crap. Like the little church that we go to, it's a Cumberland Presbyterian. I don't go because care anything about what someone who says they're Cumberland Presbyterian says their doctrine is. I'm not there to worship Cumberland Presbyterian. Like,
Right.
I honestly, I can't tell you a whole lot what the organization as a whole believes. I know what I believe. I know what our congregation believes. Is that they have like independent things there. Ultimately, our kids are there with their school friends and they're learning, Bible study stuff. I will say I don't get a whole lot of enrichment from like Bible study from the church. They're very elderly. Um, we're
Right.
starting to get some young kids in there, and I think maybe that's why I'm there. Maybe I'm supposed to help maybe get some of that stuff going. Like I don't know, but yeah, we have a Baptist church right down the street, and I mean we work together. If our preacher's out there, send a preacher over and preach for us. I mean, like it's literally just back and forth. We share like music directors, like it's like what I mean. We're here for the same purpose, right? I mean, we believe
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Son of God, profess your faith, baptism, right? I mean, like I don't know where we're supposed to differ here, right? Other than there's a name, but whoever's controlling that name is probably so far from the message. Um, it would be unrecognizable, anyways, right? But I'm not going to go around like, oh, well, you're whatever, right? That's weird and very unchristian like to judge off of a name when you don't even know what they believe,
Yeah.
right? And
I
that's
think a
how I
lot of
found out.
Yeah,
I'm
a
sorry,
lot
go
of that
ahead.
is it's just like such those minute things that the denominations don't agree with, and that's what I mean. That's ultimately what separates them, and it like you said, it's annoying,
Hmm.
because it becomes tribalism,
Yeah.
and some of those denominations are more legalistic than other ones, which is
Hmm.
that's when you start to lean more like, you're getting away from the message of the gospel,
Hmm.
and that's where you're really starting to and then like now you have other denominations which are like heretical when you have female pastors. I do not agree with that at all, obviously. But yeah,
Neither does
like
the
I said,
Bible. So.
right, yeah, I mean, like the Unitarian Church, and we have there's like I've seen one like down the road, and I'm just like they fly the pride flag and stuff out front. I'm like, there's no way, dude. There's no way you'd ever catch me
Mhm.
walking.
That's a Church of Satan, is what that is.
Yeah,
It's anything flying a pride flag for, I mean, pride? Are you kidding me? On a church? Like that's not.
yeah.
We know why Satan failed, right? Pride. I don't. And you have
Pride
a
versus humility.
pride flag. I mean, that's one of the deadly sins. Pride.
Yep,
What do,
yep,
in what world would anyone think that that makes sense?
yeah. So, like I mean, like you, the church that we go to now, it's a bigger church. But the church we were at previously, like it was all old people, all elderly
Hmm.
people, and like they helped us grow immensely in our faith. We got baptized
Hmm.
there. My wife and I did
Hmm.
together. It was great for our kids. But the kids ministry were my 5 kids and like 3 other kids, and they
Yeah.
weren't learning anything. So we said, hey, we're gonna trek a little bit farther, go to a bigger church, more kids. We're still getting that same message, and that's it's been great for us. And
Did you say
maybe
five? Did you say 5 kids?
yeah, I got 5 kids.
Shit, you wanted a whole fire team and a fire team leader, huh? That's
Yeah, I mean five kids, man. It's my oldest is he'll be turned 12 this year, and then
yeah,
my youngest just turned 1. So
nice.
yeah, it's fun. But like I said, it's I and I that would be one thing to go back to, like, way back to when we were talking about this, when you said like, the Church of Christ kinda, like, pushed you away, and
Hmm.
I think a lot of that kinda stuff, and I don't wanna blame boomers and Gen X, but I'm going to. I think a lot of that stuff pushed, you know, our generation out of the church for a while
Hmm.
until we come back. I mean, church attendance was kept declining, 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 and you ask why, and it was the legalistic matters, the I would say, like, the judginess of people.
Hmm.
Like, church hurt was real, but but it was more not it was more hypocritical than anything. Like you said,
Hmm.
the men were, they were hypocritical to you,
Hmm.
and you seen it and you left. I think that's why a lot of people left, and
Yeah.
that's and I'm so glad that millennials are back in church. Gen Z is crazy in church. I mean the amount of
Yeah.
young, you know, teens and 20s in our churches is insane, and it's awesome to see. But
And speaking of, we're talking about Stephen. I, call me crazy, but when Charlie Kirk was shot,
yeah,
something happened. I mean, I don't. I remember I was driving back from Alabama. I only live like 20 minutes from the the state line. I had like a VA appointment. I was coming back, and I'm driving in my truck, um, and somebody sent me a headline, and I pulled it up on X real quick. Just the video right in my face immediately. Just boom, saw the shot in the neck, and immediately, and it said, Charlie Kirk shot. I'm like, why is it saying he's just shot? Like, he's dead. That's
yeah,
dead.
dead, dead.
Like that's. I work in healthcare, I work in cardiology. Like that's dead. Like you no one's going to be able to stop that bleeding. Period. And if the bullet went in right there, it's over. Right. But
Hmm.
I can tell you that 100%, like something hit me. I think that sent shockwaves through the world. I think when someone is, I mean, we know from Stephen, when someone is martyred in the name of Christ, like, you're going to have a spiritual revolution. The Holy Spirit pours out over the land. I think that's exactly what happened. Our attendance at church, young people, went up. Like we
Yeah,
had, I was actually concerned. Telling my wife, like, look, I know you like this church because your friend goes here and Aubrey's little friend goes here, but look around. It's got about 10 years before us and your friend are the
are the
only
only one.
ones,
Yeah,
right? I mean, this is not like, and this church has been here. Like it's a landmark. You know, it's old, very old. But, but just in the last year, like, it's just exploded. We have some days probably 20 kids, like when it was just 4 to 6 kids. It's over doubled. But yeah, I remember I was driving my truck when that happened. I saw it, and I don't know why. Like I didn't really follow Charlie Kirk a whole lot. Now, I've seen his videos, and yeah, he's good to Pedro, and he genuinely tries to understand where someone's coming from, but he doesn't budge on his faith. Like that's not a fact that changes, right? It's a fact, right? So
Correct.
that's a fact. It doesn't change. You don't get to change the facts, but he's always able to reason people into the faith. Like, look, even the people who can get up there and ready to just argue with him, call him names or whatever, most of the time they're just like, no, he's already got you beat, like, because he's right, and you know he's right, and you can tell like something they feel impacted right there. So when that happened, I swear, like, I was just in my truck and like, you know what? I just prayed right there. I was like, God, I don't know what this world's supposed to be doing. Like, I don't know. I got kids. Like, that's
Hmm.
all I know. And I'm done. I'm just done. Like, I don't control any of it. I'm done. Like, it's all on you, and just whatever you want me to do, I'll just do it.
Yeah,
Right. And then
that video, our souls aren't meant to see that kind of thing.
yeah.
And like you said, you opened up X, and it's right there
Hmm.
in your face for the
Hmm.
world to see.
Yeah.
And it did send shockwaves around the world.
Hmm.
I can tell you from a fact. I'm gonna have my brother on this podcast in a couple weeks. He, I have a text message. 'Cause I had my other brother over for a Bible study, and I had thanked him on September 7th. I had thanked my brother for coming over, and my other brother responded, and he said, "I believe in God, but I don't think we believe in the same God." But he said, like, "We believe in the Ten Commandments, blah blah blah." But he said that it was basically saying that he didn't believe in God the way that I believed. Well, then 3 days later, the Charlie Kirk thing happens.
Hmm.
Well, 2 months ago, he got baptized. Praise God, it
Hmm.
praise God. He
Yeah.
ended up, him and his wife, I love her to death, but she was a bleeding heart liberal. I mean, straight up bleeding heart liberal. And I couldn't understand how he was how he was with her because he's extremely conservative, but she
Hmm.
is the complete opposite. Like I if my kids want to get a gender change, they're gonna get a gender change. I'm like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
But then, her mom died and then Charlie died and then flipped for her. And all of a
Hmm.
sudden, she's standing in front of us in church. We invite him to church. She's standing in front of us, hands in the air, bawling her eyes out. I'm like, yes, that's the Holy Spirit, And my
Hmm.
wife's next to me crying because she's seeing someone who she never thought would be this way, is praising the
Hmm.
Lord, And it's like you said, the martyrdom brings the revolution, and
Yeah.
it's quite frankly this it's what we see, and
Hmm.
it's growing, and I'm glad it's growing because what we've seen these past couple months, it has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I still, there's still like days I catch myself in doubt, even though, selfishly, I've asked for like, show me,
Yeah.
reassure me somehow, and he has in a million different ways where it's like instantly, it's like, all right, got you. Like, I know what that's about, but you still have days when it's like you catch yourself. I think distraction is one of the Satan's best tools, to distract you from staying at the Lord's feet in prayer. Just stay focused on searching for His face, right? But yeah, even still, I catch myself like, going in my head, thinking through things like, wait, what am I even talking about? Like, he's already proven over and over to me.
Hmm.
Like, you see that I've seen TikToks or Facebook videos of Kevin Hart's like God trying to get me through the day. It's like, hey, 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 we don't, no, no,
Yep.
look at me. Hey, hey, no, stop, stop, stop it. Look at me, look at me. So, yep, that's me right there.
Right.
But
Yeah, and I'm almost the same way, but I'm very like if someone says something to me, I really don't care.
mm,
I never really have. But like my wife, she'll be quick to jump on somebody.
mm,
She wants to be quarrelsome with people. I'm like,
yeah,
why? There's no point. You're wasting your time. Especially, she doesn't do it. She's not online very much, but like you when you get online and you see people arguing online, you're never gonna change somebody's mind online.
yeah.
Never.
Honestly,
So why
they may not
you're
even really hold that opinion. They may just be there to troll. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
pointless.
because
Like,
I've done that. I've absolutely done that before on X with like football
mm,
comments.
yeah,
Absolutely, like, I don't believe something 100%, and I'll still just sit there and troll. So, I mean, I do the
yeah,
same thing. So,
yeah,
and people waste so much time and energy, "Oh, I'm gonna get this guy 70, 70 posts in," and you're like, "Come on, dude."
yeah.
Everyone else is just sitting around eating popcorn watching you while you waste your time.
Yeah, and it's like, what am I even doing? Like, I could be hanging out with my kids. I could be doing anything other than arguing with
Yeah,
this idiot on the internet. I don't.
right?
But yeah, in person, I'm still not going to argue.
Right.
Honestly, if I know I'm right, I'm right. But my favorite go-to move is why, and they say something. How? Why? Why is that true?
Yeah,
And then you just keep asking them that, and eventually they'll logic their stuff out of their stupid position. It's like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
Burden of
So
proof.
now, so now you're in the position where I am, and I didn't have to convince you. You convinced yourself because you can't convince anyone of anything. I know, like I'm the most stubborn person in the world, so
Mhm.
I assume everyone else is at least a fraction of this level of stubbornness that I have. So I just treat them like that. Like you can't tell me anything. Right? I have to figure it out. It has to be my idea. Like I know this about myself. Right? That's the Marine
Mhm.
Corps trait. Know yourself, and seek self improvement. Right? That's
Yep,
there's
most
anything
important.
I'm good at, it's self assessment. Like I'm very good at self assessment.
Yeah.
I don't always like to recognize the outcome of my self assessment, but I'm very good at self assessment. So I use that reverse on people in what would be arguments. I'm not going to argue, but I'll help them
So
get there.
how was your transition from the military to coming back to civilian life? I know a lot of guys struggle. A
It's
lot of guys
terrible.
struggle with it.
It's
So,
terrible. Terrible. I just, I used to, I used to smoke, right? Smoke cigarettes, dip, both up. So I was still smoking when I first got out. Just the littlest things like, and for civilians, it's probably hard to even comprehend why. It just makes me sound like, just this hothead. But you go to the gas station, let me a pack of Marlboro Reds, please. Actually, I didn't say please. That's my wife's doing. I say please and thank you now. It's she did it. I did
yeah,
right because you don't say please and thank you in the Marine Corps. It's just no, that's your job, right? So why would you thank
right,
someone
yeah.
for doing what they're supposed to do, right? Um, but let me get a pack of Marlboro Reds. Well, we have 3 for whatever. Would you like 3-pack? Just that right there. Um, I'll have to lose my temper. Did I ask for 3? I asked for 1. I asked for 1. So now you're stealing my time. Like in my head, it's like you're stealing my time. Like, 1, and you're a civilian. It is disgusting, and you're stealing my time. Like, like I have to now waste my breath to respond to an unnecessary question, and it's still to this day. That's my first reaction in my head, but now I have this multiple layers of filters where I just don't respond. 5 or 10 seconds, and then go through it. What's an acceptable response here? And it's tough because there's a lot of different reasons, but and it's not just the Marine Corps, I don't think, but in the military, you're used to knowing uh, people's competency level, right? So
Yep.
everyone had a certain basic competence. Well, in your civilian workforce, that's not true. Right? They're idiots,
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah.
completely like incompetent. No reason they should be in a position whatsoever, and you can't trust them. So, I mean, that puts you on high alert. So there is a level of anxiety. I can't trust him. I have to watch my back. I have to pay attention to my left and right, even though it may not be life or death out here. It's like, I can't trust that these people are going to do what they're supposed to do because they've not proven it. As a matter of fact, they've proven the opposite. So, you know, in the Marine Corps, you had to focus on your job, right? And your job,
Yep.
if you did your job, then that was covering the person on your left or right. If they're doing their job, then they're covering the person on their left or right. So everyone's covered and they can focus on their job. That's just not the case anymore. Not only that, but you know, it's drilled in us. You know, mediocre is not acceptable. Oh, we're gonna do bare minimum, huh? Like, no, no. You strive for excellence, knowing good and well that excellence or perfection is not real. Perfection is unobtainable, but that's no excuse for not reaching for it at all times.
Right. Yep.
It's but then you get out here. No, that's not something. That's not a thing. Like bare minimum. Yeah, that's literally like, that's pinnacle right there. It's why would you do more? Matter of fact, some people are not going to do that because they can get by with it.
Right.
Um, so no, it's still not an easy transition. And it's weird looking back because now I've been out for much longer than I was ever in. But I don't know, and a lot of it's piecing together like what aspects do I keep and what do I strip away because and can I strip some away because they're kind of a package deal.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
It's the Marine Corps. It's all or nothing. Like there's no way you survive. You never make it through boot camp mentally if you're not all in. Like that's the
Right.
whole
That's correct.
point. That's like the recruiting model, everything. Yeah, there's a recruiting story I'd heard where an Air Force recruiter, gets on stage in high school and gives a PowerPoint, very nice, very good PowerPoint about why the Air Force is the best and you should join it. And then the Army gets up, very nice PowerPoint, blah blah blah. Navy, very flamboyant PowerPoint, blah blah blah. Marine gets up there, looks out over the crowd, squints, looks in the back of the room, and says, "I don't think any of y'all are good enough. The Marine Corps will be the hardest thing you ever do, and we only take the best of the best. If you think I'm wrong, I'll be at the table in the back." So you've automatically filtered out everyone that's not going to cut it because people who join the Marine Corps that there's a variety of reasons, but they all have one thing in common. It's because they want to prove to themselves or someone else that they can do something really hard. That
Yeah.
they can achieve something that's harder than what most people achieve. Like they can do something that most people can't do. So in that aspect, yeah, there's a certain mindset that's drawn to it. And are we arrogant? Absolutely. You have to be. If you're not arrogant, then you're not part of that group, right? Because you've achieved something that most people would never even attempt, much less, would be capable of doing. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of arrogance. Yeah, you're a little bit crazy. Sure, have to be. Like, it's just it comes with the territory, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, on our side, it's kind of crazy to live any other way. So I don't know.
Yeah. I still hold on to the 11 Marine Corps principles every single day. That's how, I got four boys and a girl.
Mhm.
So I got boy, boy, girl, boy, boy. So and like I said, my oldest is 12, but every single day, I try to display that for them. But one of the hardest things for me when I got out is the not having the structure that hurt me. Doing the same thing, that regimented structure that you have, that kind of threw me off. You don't have like your lifting buddies. You're not doing these things. you could be lazy if you wanted to, and that kind of like
Yeah.
throw me off. And but like the hard part for me is delegating. I don't I when I see something, I want it done my way, and I know I'm not gonna ask like if my neighbor says, "Hey, do you need help?" I'm like, "No, I can do it myself," because I know I'm gonna get it done right. I'm gonna get it done
Yeah.
quick. And
Yeah.
but that I think that's like my downfall is I don't like to delegate things. I don't like help because I don't
And
want to.
if I let you help me, I then have to go behind you and fix it. Right. I mean, that's going
Yes.
to happen. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big one. So then, like I said, I had a hard time adjusting from Marine active duty Marine Corps to civilian life. So I was out for 2 years and I went back in, but I didn't go back to the Marine
Mhm.
Corps. I went to the Ohio National Guard.
Mhm.
And you talk about something that was nowhere near the same exact thing. I was in charge of I was the communications NCO. Straight to sergeant. Held my rank over, and they were teaching a radio class, and these guys don't know anything about radios. So I was like doing the check-in and whatnot, and then I come in and they're already teaching this class, and I go in and I grab it, tongue punch it, and stick it in, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm tongue punching a fart box, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "You guys don't do this?" And they're like, "No, we don't do." I'm like, "Well, let's start from square one." But I just is and then I did that for 3 years, and it just wasn't the same. But it kind of that camaraderie helped me, like just that once a month, 2 weeks out of the year, helped me to be where I am now. So it was kind of like a detransition because I know you are obviously out. You got out in 2012, but 2013 I had just over a year left. And
Mhm.
so Bethany and I were like, "Hey, let's get pregnant." So she gets pregnant, but then Master Gunnery Sergeant comes in and says, "Hey, you want to get deployed?" Yes. So I got deployed my last year. I took
Mhm.
I took steps and taps in Spain in Rota. I was gone up till a month before I was to get out. So
Mhm.
I didn't do like the VA appointment or any of that stuff. Like I went with 8th Marines. I went to Africa and Europe, came back
Mhm.
with a month left, checked out of 8th Marines, checked back into comms to check right back out, and then I was done. So there was like no detransition period for me. It was like hard, 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 gone. And I think that kind of screwed with me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. When I drove off of Lejeune for the last time, and it's like, okay, so immediately after I left the gate, it's like, well, I'm not in the Marine Corps anymore. It's like I don't have a platoon. Right? I don't have a squad. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm going back to Tennessee. I don't have anything. I mean, sure, I have family, but not like Marine Corps, right? So it's
Right.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's way more things about the Marine Corps that I hated than I actually liked. But the things like that were good were just really good. And the other thing is out here, there's no leadership. Like I
Right.
didn't realize, like even at low ranks, you have more leadership in your pinky than CEOs of companies. Like it's crazy. You have people leading teams out here in healthcare and in business, and they know nothing at all. Like just they're just flying by the seat of their pants. They don't even know what leadership is. Like they have no idea.
Correct.
And it's like and I've tried to like teach people some things. But it's like, look, you don't have the mindset to excel. You don't have a selflessness, then you can't be a leader. I don't. Leadership is selflessness. I mean, that's what it is,
Hmm.
right? Like mission accomplishment and troop welfare, in that order, right? So, I have an eight people who civilians can't go without lunch. They can't. They can't. They can't do it. They think they'll die.
Right.
Like, y'all, like we can push through a little bit, okay? Like, I promise you, I'm not gonna eat. Like, y'all are gonna eat before me. Like, but
Yeah.
we can eat at 1 o'clock. It's okay. You don't have to eat lunch at 10:30. Like, we have work to do. Just do
Right.
it. Like, did y'all not eat breakfast? I don't. are you gonna die? Like, I don't. Does your blood sugar drop to the point where you just like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, and then like I'm just the crazy person that doesn't have to eat. Like, no, I have to eat at some point, but I mean, it doesn't dictate my life. Like, I
Correct.
know that I can live without eating for a long time. Like, it may not be
Yeah.
comfortable, but I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I moved into healthcare because I did a lot of stuff. I did construction. I worked at a bank. Then I went entry level tech support and worked my way up into a business analyst role, a senior analyst. And I was like, well, this corporate stuff is soul sucking. Like, I need to find something else. And then went into healthcare. Now I work at cardiac cath lab. We do heart casts and stents and run codes and STEMIs and get a little bit of the adrenaline, but honestly, sadly, it's kind of I've done it for 10 years now. I don't know. I don't get the flutter in my chest and the shaky hands near as much anymore. But you kind of like chase that because you don't realize like yeah you miss it. I mean, like you're not going to the range, you're not doing any combat training stuff. It's just none of that anymore,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, it can be a boring life. Like you go from like I want to say like high octane stuff. You wake up
yeah,
in the morning like, wait, what are we doing today? Oh, we're gonna go run 3 miles through the tank trails. Like,
yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
And then you get back and then you're like, "Oh, I gotta wake up and be at work by 9 o'clock. What am I gonna
mhm,
do? I woke up at 4. What am I gonna do for the next 5 hours before
yeah,
before I get there? And that's kind of stuff so crazy. But I always like to say that when people ask me like what it was like when you come back, and I always tell them it's like we put our life on hold while you guys moved on. So like
hmm
your friends have spent 4, 5, 6 years moving on, and then it's like you put your life on pause. You come back, everyone's doing different things now, and you're trying to, you know, that part of you left. You've changed, but you're trying to rekindle old friendships. People have changed for the better or for worse, and you're seeing all this, and you're like, man, I think that's what gets a lot of people, honestly,
hmm
is families changed, friends changed, and it's hard. It's hard on an individual, and I think that would be
hmm
like the big thing that I always tell people is it's like we put our life on pause and everyone around us kept going, but we don't realize it until we get back. So what
hmm
would that be like for you? Because you said you don't live where you did growing up. So did you move to a place that's like completely new to you?
yeah, uh, pretty much. But I was staying with my dad. Then I went to Antioch, which is like a city. I had an apartment there, so I never went back to where I mean, that's one of the reasons I left too. Like, if you grew up where I grew up and you stay there, you have two options. Like,
You're stuck
you're
there.
gonna be a poverty or low middle class, blue collar, factory worker or construction worker or farmer or something like that. That's just you're going to struggle your whole life financially, or you can do drugs and then not care about anything and then die, right? None of those were very appealing. Actually, a couple months ago, just we just put my cousin in the ground that I lived with. He was supposed to join the military with me. Like, he wasn't cut out for the Marine Corps. Honestly, he probably wasn't cut out for any branch, but um, he was going to join the Navy, right? So for the first week or so, we'd go out running together. He'd run with me, and then just kind of, and it's like I'm not stopping. Like, I took off, and then every time I'd come back, he's a little worse off. You could tell. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I had my fun before I joined. I was a drug waiver. I didn't lie about smoking weed like the rest of
Yeah.
y'all.
I,
um,
I, I
I,
can I can honestly say I've never done it. I can honestly say I've never done it.
I don't. I didn't know you're supposed to lie. No one told me you're supposed to lie about that. so so I told the truth. I don't know, um, but yeah, but he went on like harder drugs and ended up with meth, and he ended up going to prison for 7 years. Um, then he got out a few years ago. And I talked to him, and he sounded like he's doing good. But then I guess with this fentanyl stuff, fentanyl's cheap, and I think that's what happened. Like, they found him in a hotel room back in the little town, next town over from where we grew up. So there you go. That's what happens when you stick around.
Mhm.
And I couldn't. I don't know. And after I got out, I was married to this girl that I went to high school with, and then we got divorced like right as I was getting out. And then I went on first date with my wife. So I got out January 31st, 2012. I went on the first date with my now wife February 18th of 2012. And yeah, and I mean, again, that's it's one of the weird things because my stepdad, you know, old guys, especially old country dudes, they have the weirdest, most sage wisdom. And
Right.
I mean, him asking me like, how's things going with that new girl? I was like, oh, good, she's really good. Um, and I remember it's like, yeah, well, son, sometimes you just need a sorry ass woman to make you appreciate a good one. I was like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
literally like I
Yeah.
couldn't have explained it any better. Like, yeah, like, because my wife would say things like, "Oh, I wish we knew each other in high school." I'm like, no, you don't. No, you
Yeah.
don't, because it wouldn't have worked out. You would have hated me. That's terrible. I was not who I am uh, now. So, but then looking back over it, I was like, there's so many times, like so many people I know, a lot of my friends, they're dead, right? And looking back over my life, like, why am I not dead or in prison? Like the things I did, the reason I even had the opportunity to go in the Marine Corps and not be in prison, I'm just lucky. That's that's all. I'm lucky. I mean, plenty of times I probably should have, right?
Mhm.
Got in trouble. I'd flip cars, doing stupid stuff that should have killed me. And yet here I am, and then you realize like, oh, that ain't because it's not because I'm lucky. It's because God's got purpose. Um, but don't think too highly of yourself because your purpose may be to be, you know, Aubrey and Sawyer's dad, and to a point to where they don't need you anymore, right? And then you're not lucky anymore. Like, maybe your purpose is not for you, but it's for someone else.
Mhm.
Right? Just like Charlie Kirk, right? He was one like he professed his faith every time, every opportunity. 10 minutes before he died, that's what he did.
Yep.
Professed his faith, and then you know, I don't think that he necessarily would have chose to die young, but that was his purpose. Even though he lived this crazy life of wild success, changing people's views and going around, building that huge empire, all the money, all that stuff. When your purpose is over, it's over.
Yeah.
And I hope that I meet my death um, somewhat like like he did. I hope I can say that I professed to thousands of people within minutes of my death.
Yeah.
Spreading the gospel. But yeah, it's kind of humbling to look back and it's like and go through the whole phase. It's like I'm lucky, no, not lucky. That I was protected, but you know, how long is I protected? Well, I can't act stupid anymore, right? Now I know that he was looking out for me. That I can't go out here and play on the train tracks. But it gives you a little bit more appreciation for things, especially after having kids. You say, how you know God exists? Well, if you have children, it's pretty
Yeah.
simple,
Yeah,
right? I
you
mean,
ain't kidding.
it's just not really any debate there.
Right. So
and even
you got married you got married to your current wife now. So do you guys live like the biblical way, the patriarchy? You guys do that,
yeah,
or you homeschool your kids?
yeah. I
Kids go
mean,
to school.
um, yeah. I mean, most of the time, sometimes I gotta remind her who's in charge. Uh, no, I mean, she's we explained it to someone at work, and because they were like, who manages the bills in your house? My wife manages most of that, but I'm in charge.
Right.
They're like, what do you mean? She's the CEO. I'm the stockholder. You know, it's
Correct.
right. I mean, she's a stay-at-home mom. Like, of course, she runs the house. Like, if she wants
Yeah.
to change the curtains, all right. What am I argue about the color of the curtains? What? I'm not sitting here staring at them. I don't. I didn't clean the curtains. uh, but um, but yeah, I mean, there's a hierarchy, of authority, and we should, in the beginning, it wasn't always easy. One thing I know that we had, a big argument about was driving, and so I bought her this Yukon, um, and it wasn't brand new. Um, I haven't won the lottery yet. Those things are ridiculous, brand new, but it was a nice, lightly used Yukon. And we were going to like dance class or something. She's like, okay, give me the keys. I'm like, wow, so I can drive. You're not driving. She's like, it's my car. I'm like, if you look in that glove box, there's a title. Um, look whose name's on it. First of all, that's my first mistake. Right. And I said, no, I bought this for you, but I'm not riding shotgun. I don't ride shotgun. Right? If I'm in the vehicle, I'm driving. That's all there's to it. And we had a pretty good argument about it right there. And then, you know, drive in silence to dance class. And dance class, come home, put the kids to bed. It didn't have the real argument, right? And then I explained to her, like, look, this, in her mind, it's, me saying, she can't drive good or whatever. Like, look, it's not that, okay? Look, I'm the man, I'm your husband, I'm the father. And what kind of example did that set for our daughter in the back seat? Do you want her to marry some guy that can't afford a vehicle and she's always driving him around and doing these things? Or do you want for her to look for a man that looks out for her and takes care of her? And my job as a father and a husband is the safety of my family, first and foremost.
Absolutely.
How can I be in charge of safety if I'm not behind the wheel?
Correct.
Like that's just rule number one. If we're in a vehicle and it's moving, I need to be behind the wheel. That's the first layer of protection, right?
Yeah.
Um, I said, and I can tell you, when I grew up, like I had strong male figures in my life, whether it was my granddad or my stepdad. Even if we didn't get along, like, he was a man, right? And he was a father. I didn't appreciate those things at the time. As I get older, the older I get, especially with kids, like the more I appreciate everything. But like, I can tell you that I never saw my grandmother or my mom driving a vehicle with my granddad or my stepdad in the passenger seat. Yeah, I've never seen it. Like, and
Yeah.
I said, aside from like, I don't know, they were sick, really sick or something. Other than that, no, it didn't happen. It doesn't mean you can't drive. I mean, we're not, this ain't Iran or whatever,
Right.
where
Yeah.
women can't drive. I mean, you're not the best driver, but you can drive.
Just when I'm not in the car. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we know you can drive because you tell me how to do it constantly from the passenger seat, right? So, but yeah, I mean, that's and you can tell like she had never thought of it from that mindset because women don't think of things. in the same way that men do, and men don't think about things the same way women do, or from the same angles,
Correct.
because we have our own God-given purpose, right? And we're built for those things.
Yep.
It's just probably like I'm not the one to coddle my son, okay? Like if anything, I'm gonna smack him inside the head. Like, boy, get up, quit acting stupid. Like, get up, you're fine.
Yeah.
And if you want someone to coddle you, you better go find your mama, right? No, um, because you know what, and and she, oh, he's too hard on me. No, you think I'm hard on him? Wait till you see what the world does to him.
All
And
right.
once he gets out here, straight white Christian male, it's not a favorable world, regardless of what the TV will tell you. Okay,
Correct.
that there no one's giving you anything. Like, there are no handouts. You'll earn everything. So no, I'm not being hard. Like right now, it's a controlled environment where he can learn safely how to navigate those things. Because once he gets out there, there is no safety net. Right? That once he gets out there, it's not the time for learning how to navigate these things. That now is the time for that in our house. And my little girl, yeah, whatever she wants, she gets. She's princess. Right? Wife wants to go eat Mexican. No, we ain't spending money on eating out. We got food here. The little
Correct.
girl, I want to eat chips and cheese. Let's get in the car then. Come on, tell your mama, come on. Why are they taking so long? Let's go. We're about to go eat chips and cheese, baby.
Yeah, it's that's one thing that my wife has really grown up in is, how we always say like a father's love is different than a mother's love,
Mm-hmm,
and like letting me be disciplinary more to the kids. Like, they're gonna need that tough love, no matter, like a father's job is to raise your boys up, raise your kids up, and the mother's job is to nurture them when they need to be nurtured. But
mm-hmm,
those two can't conflict at the same time. And I think, and if you go off, if you take like you said like that hierarchy and you kind of veer it one way, that's
mm-hmm,
when you're kind of like emasculating men, and you get the issues of, men, they're very passive, they're emasculated, they're not happy wife, happy life. Like that's not a good way to live your life.
mm-hmm,
And it's almost like a tragedy. But
mm-hmm,
I applaud people who proudly say that they live with the patriarchy way, where the husband is the head of the household, the wife falls underneath him, and the kids fall underneath her, as they all submit to Christ at the same time. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And it's proven effective again and again and again to work. And it always has worked, and it always will work as long as you do it. Women now are worse off than they were in the 1950s,
mm-hmm.
just
Yeah.
because they, like you said, they do things out of emotion. Men do things out of logic. Men do things for protection. Women do things for nurture or whatever. So it's, like you said, we're built differently, and if you mess up that role, you're messing up the family, which messes up society and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there was do you watch any Jordan Peterson?
A little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. He had a bit on parents resolving conflict, arguing, and because some people will say, oh, you shouldn't argue in front of kids. And he had a different take on it. I thought it was really interesting that your children will be looking at you and your marriage. That's how they will build their view on what marriage is, right? So if you never argue in front of your kids, so if you have a disagreement and you just pretend like you don't and then wait till later and then resolve it, and then it appears as if you're always getting along and you never conflict, then when your children go out and they get married, the first time they start having arguments, they're not going to know, they're going, straight to divorce, right? That's one of the reasons divorce rate's so high. It's like, oh, you're not
Yeah.
supposed to argue in marriage, right? But no, it's that you should argue in front of your kids. And you're not talking about fighting and screaming and throwing things, but your argument, your debate
Disagreements. Yeah.
should take place in front of your kids. So also the resolution takes place in front of your kids.
Yep.
So they see that whenever there's a difference of opinion, you talk through it, you figure out the solution and you resolve it, and then you move on, which is what a marriage is, right? And
Yeah.
there's no, I mean, you have a honeymoon phase, sure, but that's going to fade quick, you know. First time you leave your protein shaker, um, sitting on the counter, and she opens it unbeknownst, yeah, that's an argument waiting to happen. That's
Yeah.
right. I mean, there's a lot of things. There was a lot of, he makes a lot of good good points. I wish that he would just take the final step. He stopped short of professing his faith fully in Christ. Like
Yeah.
he has a lot of seminars on the Bible. And he's very smart. It's like like every time I hear him talk, like Jordan, you're there. Just take a step. Like you're not taking the step, the leap of faith here. Like you're already at the edge. Just take a step.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting on it. And I mean, I think he will. Joe Rogan did.
Yeah.
And
Praise God. Yeah.
I was telling my boss at work for the last few years, like, look, Joe Rogan's close. Like, he's getting there. Um, I don't know what it's gonna be, and ironically, Kid Rock played a big role in it. I think that was because he I don't know if you saw that episode, but he asked Kid Rock, he's like, if you could go back in time, and meet any historical figure, face to face, who would you want to go meet? And he's like, Kid Rock said, Jesus, man, Jesus. He goes, really? He said, yeah, absolutely. He said, what if he wasn't there? He said, oh, I thought I would go back in time to the place like where they're located. He's like, no, I'm just saying, like, what if Jesus wasn't real? What if he wasn't there? He's like, no, he's real. He's real. He's there. Then Joe Rogan said, well, why are you so sure? He's like, it's your faith. And then Joe Rogan just sit there and look down at the desk. He's like, it's a good answer. I don't know, it's a good answer. And then Wesley Huff came on, and
Yeah.
I think brought it on home for him. And then it was like a month after that, Joe Rogan was attending church services somewhere in Texas. Like, there you go, Joe. Keep it up. You're getting there.
Yeah.
And he had
And
the guy on for the Case for Christ. He also had him on the podcast too.
okay.
So he was steady working in that direction for a while.
Oh, and then he had Chad Wright on too. Guy with a
Yeah.
long beard. Yeah, Chad
Oh, I
Wright.
love Chad Wright. Chad Wright's
Yeah.
like I don't like many Navy SEALs. They get on my nerves, but Chad Wright, I love that dude. Like,
Yeah.
that's a real dude right there. And I think he shook Joe Rogan a little bit when
Yeah.
he's on his
You
like, I
might be
tell
one of
you,
God's elect.
he's like, what's that mean? Like,
He's staring
I
him
think you
right in the
know.
eyes, like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's got the beard going, and he's like, yeah, you're one of God's elect. I think the Almighty's calling you. Yeah, some good stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, we live in this obviously this crazy world where it's it's basically crumbling beneath us, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So how do you balance with being like, obviously you're a man of faith, like the biblical manhood, with like your kids and your wife and your work, and like I don't know, apologize, I didn't ask you even how old your kids are, but like how do you explain, like, so like Bethany, she'll ask me, hey, I seen this, how do you explain this, and correlating it to the Bible. And so how do you do that with like your wife and your kids, and like with your work environment and all that kind of stuff?
Um. Well, I mean, being being a Christian, it's not just like a one and done thing. Just
Right.
like, oh, I believe in Jesus, and now I'm saved and everything's fine forever. I mean, it's literally what we talked about earlier. It's spiritual warfare every single day. And
Yep.
and uh, and again, perfection is not obtainable. There's only one man walked the earth, and we're nothing like him, right? So, um, but when they have like biblical questions or theology questions, even though they don't know what the word theology means, but Their questions fall under theology. They're trying to make sense of things.
Yeah.
I don't I don't talk to them like they're children incapable of understanding. Um, you know, I just tell them the truth. And sometimes the truth is, I don't know. And that's
Right.
I don't know is a very underutilized answer. And anyone that doesn't have I don't know in their vocabulary is not someone that I want to have anything to do with, quite honestly, because they're lying. They're liars. If there's not a question that your answer isn't I don't know to, then you're making it up. So I mean, I've studied so much on a lot of different things, and I have more questions that the answer is I don't know to than the questions I have answers to.
Right.
But um, I'll tell you, like some of the harder conversations is like my kids like Bluey. I don't know if your kids watch Bluey, but
Yeah.
pretty good show. Problem is they're associated with Disney, and so Disney feels the need in between kids shows to put RuPaul's Drag Race show advertisements. Like, why? Why would you do that, Disney? You know who watches Bluey, so why would you
Yeah.
advertise that? Is that the demographic you're trying to get for RuPaul? Like, is that it? Because I mean, the answer is yes. That's the answer. Otherwise, they wouldn't put it
Hmm.
on there, right? They're not going to waste
Correct.
advertising dollars. Um, but it's so funny because immediately, my little girl, she was probably 6. She sees it and she's just staring at the TV screen and she goes, Daddy, why is that man wearing a dress? And inside I'm like, yes. Like even a
Get to
6 year
tell them.
old instantly knows it's not a woman, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so I said, well, um, I said they're sick in their head, they're confused, and hopefully one day, Jesus can fix them. Okay, but all we need to know is that that's not okay, and it's weird. Okay, they're weird. I don't know what to tell you. It's weird, and they're sick in their head. I mean, that's the best answer I got for you. Right? There are going to be things that you just won't understand when you see them. That's okay. And it doesn't make it right, and it also doesn't mean that you have to be mean to them. Okay, so they're a person, but you don't have to act like what they're doing is okay. That's the
Correct.
best way that I can explain it to them. Like you don't what they're doing is not okay, but they're still a person. Jesus loves them, right? And we have to learn love them as a person, but we don't have to, allow those things in our presence.
Correct. Yeah.
And
Love the sinner, hate the sin. Yep.
yeah, and she just okay. Then she goes back to playing, right? Okay, but even from their child mindset, it's impossible to know what they're actually understanding because sometimes kids you'll think they're doing something uh, for like a mean purpose, picking on their brother or sister or something. You'll think that it's coming from some type of spiteful or mean place. It's because you've probably done that to someone, right? So that's why you're thinking like that. And
Yeah.
then you get out to and you're like, why did you do that? And then their answer is so innocent that they weren't doing it to be mean or anything. They were doing it for this other innocent, reason, completely unrelated. And I just assumed it was for a mean purpose. Um, it gives you a little bit more uh, faith in the world that your kids can have innocence for a little while.
Yeah. So like, obviously my oldest, he's almost 12, and him and my second oldest, he's 9. So they play that game called Among Us.
Mhm.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever seen them. So they like we
Yeah.
we get to see everything they're doing. Like we play with them
Hmm.
sometimes, and like they'll see stuff on there, and then or they're old enough to see what commercials are for like between on football. They watch a lot of football. They see the commercials, and they'll ask
Hmm.
like what is this or why are these two dudes holding hands, and then my wife and I we just straight up told them like that's gay or
Yeah.
and then lately it's just like the whole world's fake and gay like keep your eyes on
And
Christ. The
so
whole
it's.
world's fake. The whole world's fake and gay. So in my my 12-year-old will say that. But it's just like, but like you said, my wife preaches that basically the same way you did. Like we're all made in the imago Dei, the image of
Mhm.
God. You love your sinner, you hate their sin, and you pray for their repentance that they come to Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you do it, and that's and then the whole you know like we talked about earlier, the progressive Christianity and biblical Christianity, where people are like, "Oh, you can't judge me." Well, I'm not judging you. I'm correcting you.
Yeah.
From what I see is wrong. If I want to love, if you want me to love my neighbor like I love myself, I don't live in sin, so I'm not going to let you live in sin. So
Hmm.
Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another." If you tell me I can't judge you, that verse makes no sense.
Hmm.
You know. So, it's just like it's like those things where, us as like biblical men, we have to put our foot down at some point
Hmm.
and stop letting people walk across us
Hmm.
and, be a little more outspoken about our faith because if you don't speak about your side, someone else will speak about their side and their side progresses. That's what we see now.
Hmm.
Like you said, the white Christian man's been neutered
Hmm.
to a point where it's been emasculated, and look what's happened to the country. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's shameful. It's disheartening sometimes, but I'm glad to see it's coming back, and I'm thankful for people like you. And I
Hmm.
obviously I don't really know, but like I imagine below the Mason Dixie line, there's a lot more Bible believers than the ones who are north of the Mason Dixie line. I live in northern Ohio.
Hmm.
There's a little bit of everything, but I imagine everybody goes to church probably close to you on Sundays and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Like
Well, I would tell you,
that's what the
because you go to
demographic is.
church on Sunday doesn't mean a whole lot.
Right.
That's
Right.
um,
Yeah.
a lot of people do go to church, and known as a Bible Belt. Ironically, a lot of those people going to church couldn't tell you anything out of the Bible, and that's really a shame.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and here, and I assume it's all over. But what's happening is you have, I believe it's United Methodist, which is the large Methodist, and that they'll fly the pride flags and stuff. What they're doing is a lot of these United Methodist churches have been here for a long time, right? And they don't necessarily hold the same beliefs, but since they're part of United Methodist, they don't even own their church building. United Methodist owns it. So then United Methodist is telling them like, look, your pastor needs to go, and we're going to send you one. And they'll send them some dyke, um, female pastor who wants to wear a rainbow, right? And go up there and preach about marriage equality and all these things that aren't in the Bible, and they twist the word. Um, and if they want to fight back, the only real avenue they have is to come up with the money to buy the building from the church, and then change the name from United Methodist to like First Methodist or something. Um, but that's happening a lot, um, and I don't know how the Baptists are faring. I don't know if they've been infiltrated um, on some of the higher level stuff, but that is one thing that worries me about the big denomination stuff, because they've then pulled their resources under this one big name, and then it's like a Trojan horse really,
Yeah.
because you don't know the trap until you don't have the means to escape the trap. But yeah, it's I I don't know that the Bible Belt should still be called the Bible Belt, honestly. I mean, yeah, we
Yeah.
have some small southern um, churches, but I mean, it's not the majority of people. Like Nashville, the problem is no one who lives in Nashville is from Tennessee. None of them. You might as well
Yeah.
go. You might as well be in Ohio
Yeah.
because,
Las Vegas. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it. There's no Tennesseans there. And Knoxville, very liberal. Anywhere you can have a state university. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's one thing that needs we have to figure out how to change. Like they turn universities into indoctrination camps,
Yeah.
which is what Charlie Kirk was doing, going through and fighting back against that stuff. But yeah, I mean, just like I don't know why, but John the Baptist comes to my mind. Like when he, beginning of Matthew, he's in the river baptizing people, and the Pharisees and Sadducees come up, and what he gets all on them and says like, you know, don't rest on your, you know, saying your father was Abraham. And truly, I tell you that God will make sons of Abraham out of these rocks.
Yep.
So, um, so we just like them, you can't lean on something that was a thing of the past, like well, it's Bible Belt, so everything's good down here. No, no, it's a daily war again, spiritual warfare across the world every
Yeah.
single day. Like there's no taking a day off. It's warfare every single day. Um,
Yeah. From sun up to sundown and everything you do.
mhm,
Like what are you doing first thing in the morning? You getting on your phone? Or are you opening the word and getting your prayer in?
yeah,
You're gonna lay around in bed. You're gonna go to the gym. It's
mhm,
every single day.
mhm,
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but His
yeah,
mercies are new every day. So that's
mhm,
you know you can't succumb to um your flesh you can't you obviously can't succumb to your flesh because you'll never you'll never be able to get away from it if you do.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I mean, and it goes hand in hand with a lot of people who are so focused on like health. If they would take a moment and figure out like what are you doing that's healthy, right? Actually healthy, not what the TV says. And Cheerios lowers your
correct.
cholesterol. No, it doesn't. Cheerios will kill you. I don't. I work in cardiac cath lab. Okay, Cheerios are terrible. Like, what do you mean lowers your cholesterol? Your liver controls your cholesterol, not Cheerios. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing to your liver to cause your cholesterol to be high? Like, that's what you need to be focused on, not Cheerios. But
Hmm.
when you look at the things like fasting and uh, denying yourself comfort, right? Those are all biblical things to get closer to God.
Yep.
Like, like if you're just sitting in comfort, then you're dying. Comfort is dying. Right? So there's a pastor down in Atlanta. I would love to see him live, but apparently there's a line out the door, all
Philip
kinds of stuff.
Anthony Mitchell.
Yeah, like
Oh yeah, I got a
I
shirt.
love that dude.
Yeah.
Like, because he doesn't care. He just preaches the Bible. Like, and um, though, I tell you what, I don't know what that Bible's made out of, but it's a trooper because he beats it to death.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen the TikToks. It's like a POV, your Philip Anthony Mitchell's Bible, and it's got his audio in the background. Someone's fist just punching the Bible when he's preaching.
Yeah, I
Oh,
like the way he preaches because it's not like hellfire brimstone, but
no,
it's what you need.
yeah,
You can't be told that you're correct all the time.
hmm, yeah,
You need correction.
hmm.
And it's the way he preaches. Same thing. I'm a big fan of Joby Martin too. I like
I
Joby
don't think
Martin
I
a
know
lot.
him.
He's
Which one's that?
Church of 1122 down in Jacksonville, Florida. Bald guy,
Yeah,
long beard.
white beard. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yep. He's when I really came to the faith, I followed him, and they were doing their Timothy and Titus series,
Mm-hmm.
and you talk about books that that help you become like a man, and
Hmm.
it's Timothy and Titus. Like the instructions are right there. Like you can piece it together throughout your life, but like if you want the biblical manhood,
Hmm.
Timothy and Titus. I mean, you read it and like like I said, my kids are homeschooled, and I just be
Hmm.
like, "Hey, Dad, you want us to do anything today? Yeah, go read. Make sure you read Timothy 1 before you do anything else today.
Hmm.
That's what you're doing today."
Yeah.
So I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, that's it's
Hmm.
um it's always fun to grow in the faith,
Yeah.
especially when you're doing it with other people. Um, and I would hope and pray that more men come out and proclaim their faith, not be so not I don't want to say like wishy-washy, or not be afraid to proclaim your faith. Like talk about it, because
Yeah.
other people I always tell Bethany, when we talk about it, it's not always the person that you're talking to that's listening. It's the person 10 feet away. They're the ones listening. You're planting the seed. Like the person you're talking to, that they could already have that seed planted, but you're planting the seed on the person 10, 15 feet away from you that's listening to you. Because I mean, faith like children, right? Your kids are always listening to you. They're
Hmm.
whatever you say, they know they know what's going on. So when
Hmm.
you approach the world like that, when you talk to people a certain way and stuff like that, um, I think that's important for us to do every single day,
Hmm.
because you never know who's listening.
Yeah.
Whoever could receive the seed, they hear you say something, they're like, oh, okay, and then they go home and they download the Bible app on their phone. They kind of just do some
Hmm.
research, and then the Holy Spirit's like, bam, let's go. So
Yeah.
that's the way I like to do it. So
I think the big thing that helped me get over the hump too was realizing that you don't deserve salvation. No one does. You're not good enough, right? Because
amen.
that was really kind of the breakthrough, right? It's like
Yep.
because that was kind of holding me back. It's like I'm not good enough. I'm not. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm not. I'm not. He knew that. Like it's no one is. Like it's
Yep.
that's the kind of the point. So once you realize like, oh, that's the point. Like if that's what's holding you back, and you can get over that and realize like, yeah, no, you're never going to deserve any of it. Like you don't deserve it. There's only one place where everyone gets what they deserves, and that's hell, right?
Mm.
Um, so no, you don't deserve salvation. It's a gift. There's nothing you can do to make yourself worthy. You're not worthy. No one's worthy. So it also helps when you're looking at other people. Like, guess what? You're not worthy. They're not worthy either. Um, no one's worthy. That means that you're not better than anyone else. Period. Like it's okay to help someone out. It's okay to to love your brother. Help your sister out because none of you are worthy, and you're all given a gift, and there's enough gift for everyone.
Yep.
Like it
Amen.
doesn't run out, right? So it's not like, oh, I don't want to tell everyone that way they won't don't there will be plenty of gift left over for me. No, there's enough for everyone. It's
Hmm.
it's and it's that's another amazing thing. We're talking about Jesus in the Bible, the Old Testament, all the way back to Genesis. Like, I mean, God knew always what his plan is, and so when he tell Satan, the serpent, he said, the seed of a woman will bruise your crown.
Yep.
Okay, what's that supposed to mean? Okay, well, nowhere else in the Bible does seed come from a woman. Right? Seed comes from a man. In every other um, instance, seed comes from man, not woman.
Hmm.
Right? Well, God is the father. There was no human father to pass seed, so
Yep.
immaculate birth, Jesus defeated sin, defeated Satan,
Yep.
bruised his crown. Right? So, wow, right there, right in the beginning, it's all laid out. The entire Old Testament. There's one guy I love watching. He's always over in Israel, and he's a Jew, but he's Christian. Um, and he's going around to other Jews walking around just asking, gives them a verse, and it's like, um, what's this out of? They don't know their scripture the way that they think they do, and he ends up
Uh,
converting a lot of them, like showing them like, what if I told you Jesus was mentioned in the Old Testament, this many times? They're like, no, no, he wasn't. It's ridiculous. And he goes through over and over and over. Then he shows them the New Testament, which I was explaining to my wife, like, we're to the point now, they don't even deny that Jesus existed, right? The academics. There's
yep.
so much proof. I mean, there's more proof that Jesus existed than we have of Julius Caesar. There's more proof, written historical documentation from all sources that Jesus existed on this earth than there is that George Washington existed. Right? You know how crazy that
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
I
Amen.
mean, that's insane. So now uh, we've got him to the point where the only thing they can argue is whether or not he was who he said he was. But I'll say, every single one of the apostles died brutal, terrible, horrible deaths. And all they
Yep.
had to do was say it was a lie. And not a single one of them did it.
Yeah. You don't die for things that aren't real.
Yeah. So they have seen what they saw was real enough that they were willing to go through that rather than to deny it.
Yep.
So I mean, like, I don't know. Going back to like the UFO from earlier, like that many people say they see something. What are the odds? Like you don't need every single one of them to be true. You only need one. If one person told the truth, it's true, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, you apply the same logic here, and except for these are verifiable historical accounts. Not even pro-Christian writers.
Right.
I mean, you
Secular
have,
documents. Yep.
yeah, I mean, Romans and anti-Jewish, anti-Christ writers. They all agree that Jesus was real, and they write that many people say that he came back from the dead and they saw him. So, I mean, that's
Yeah. It's good enough for me, you know. It's
it's more than good enough for me. I don't.
yeah. Yeah, like you said, when to close this thing out, when you honestly just open the Bible and read it with no pre-convictions or premonitions or whatever, you will literally feel the Holy Spirit move within you. Like you're,
Mhm,
oh yeah, like that one, like you reading it, oh that okay, that kind of hit me. Like that's a conviction of my soul. Like something's hit me right now. And when you
mhm,
do that with earnesty and honesty, you're gonna become a believer in Christ. Um, I think we're gonna see a lot more of that too, with like the Epstein files and stuff coming out. Because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of atheists on X saying like, "Hey, I don't, I'm an atheist. I never believed in God, but the proof that these people were doing such evil things in the name of Satan, it proves to me that there is an objective
mhm.
good, and that is God."
Yeah.
So,
Not only
you know,
that, but if they're carrying out these actions in the name of Satan, and
yeah,
these are some of the world's most powerful people,
yeah,
it would seem like they know that he exists. And if Satan exists, then you know that God exists because uh, God is the origin of Satan, right? So,
yep. And it's another example of a a terrible thing happening, but God's using it for good. Like
mhm.
he's always got the upper hand on the devil. So, but yeah, to close this thing out, you have. Oh, we didn't even get to talk about your Bible project that you were doing,
Oh,
your
the
album.
um, the AI music there, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Golgotha Dawn is the band name, but yeah, I was on TikTok and I heard this song that was like it was Christian rock, but it was like good. Like it's like wow, this is actually good. It's like Metallica, like if they sang Christian rock, and it was you know biblical lyrics, kind of like Psalms type stuff. And I mean, Psalms is pretty much it's. it's very warrior based. I mean, there's a lot in
Yeah.
it. And I was like, wow. I was like, where are these guys at? Like, who is this? I found out who it was. Let me look up. Like, do they have shows? I would pay money like to go see them. They're so good. And it's AI. I'm like, are you kidding me? And this guy, what he did was he created this AI band. He was a drug addict. He went to a rehab, Christian-based rehab. Once he got out, um, he then started working at the rehab, and then now he's in charge of the entire rehab program. But he made this AI band, and he uses the proceeds to fund the rehab. And I was like, well, that's awesome. And I was like, let me see, like, can I do something? So I started making some music, and I was like, wow, it's really good. And it started out, I was just gonna make like my own like workout playlist, because I mean I still listen to like my old school rap, and it's hard to stay in a Christian mindset with Project Pat, even though Project Pat is now a pastor. I don't know if you knew that, but he was not a pastor when he made the music that I listened to. But I was like, oh, I'll make my own workout music, and then so I started doing that, and I was like, oh, what if what can I use this for? Again, going back to the whole talents parable, like not everyone has the know-how or the confidence on technology to use AI, and so I'm having Grok like write the lyrics based on biblical scriptures and change it up a little bit, put it in the AI music maker, do all this stuff. And now I have it uploaded to Spotify. And I'm like, well, I'll just keep doing this and maybe start covering like a book of the Bible as an album. You know, that way, if you're reading through, Matthew,
Yeah.
you got like a heavy metal soundtrack to go with it. You listen to in the gym while you're working out, and like, kind of like covering the same type material, but it's really good, and use the proceeds, for some type of outreach, to support a church and stuff. I'm also working on some outreach stuff with my church and my son's youth football league, because we have a lot of these kids that the only male interaction they get, like there's no dad in the home, right? And you see them, they come to the football field, and you can just see like they crave, you know, male attention of a strong like father figure.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
like, what better place to try to do some outreach and introduce kids, to Jesus and God than football, right? That's a perfect spot there. And
Yep.
like I got with the organization, like, look, I noticed we're not saying a prayer before the game, the home games. Like, is there a reason? Like, well, no one's just ever mentioned anything about it. Okay, because I mean, yeah, me and Sawyer before the game, yeah, we take a knee, we say a prayer, um, and he usually, we put him a cool Bible verse on his cheeks and go over what it means and how we're going to apply that on the field. Um, we did Isaiah, hear my send me. We went over that and what that means, and but we'll work with the church, see if we can do some type of outreach and get these kids. I also reached out to Sleef. Do you kids play football?
Yeah, my 2 oldest do. I'm a coach, so
Yeah. Are you familiar with Sleeves, the brand?
no.
Uh, they make visors, headbands, mouthpieces, gloves, just all kinds of stuff. But you, they're a Christian-based company, so they have a lot of Christian messaging on their stuff. So I reached out to them, like, hey, trying to do something here. And they were immediately like, absolutely. And told me this may be the first time these kids actually have something with, Christ or God on it.
Mhm.
Period. Like maybe the first time that they've ever owned anything that was even referencing that. So I work with the churches, maybe give them the Bible, some Christian football gear, and then also get some like financial scholarships for some of the because I mean we're pretty low income area out here. We're out in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of
Hmm.
kids that don't play not because they don't want to, because their family ain't got money to pay the dues or buy cleats and things like that. I think like trying to work with surrounding churches, see if we can get like I think $500 per kid, and see how many of those we can get going, and then partner with the schools and see if we can identify these kids that would need it, you know, but get every kid in the organization. It's like 200, a Bible, Christian headband, maybe a wristband, and then a mouthpiece. And they have good mouthpieces. Right? The big mouth guard with the lip protector and stuff on them. The
Yeah.
kids like. Yeah, we got Sawyer one last year. He picked out and says God first on it. They have a bunch of good messaging, but it's a good company. And that company immediately like, absolutely, this is exactly what the purpose of our company is for. So they gave
Awesome.
some good pricing. So we're gonna try to do that, and then not try to spread myself out too thin because I know myself. I'll get ADHD and I won't finish anything if I get too many things going at once. But
Yeah, that's my problem in the fall. Like I said, my ministry is my kids they play flag football still, but
mhm,
there's this program called Upward where it's all Christian based. It's a Christian based flag football league. And last year I think
mhm.
we had 600 kids that come out, and
Wow, it's
then
pretty big.
Bowling Green State University, they're part of their NIL deal is to come
Mhm,
out in the summer and they do like a week long camp with the kids.
mhm,
Um, but I'm head coach of those teams,
mhm.
and it's like an honor to be able to say, hey, these 22 kids, I get to coach because we get a Saturday and we get 1 day a week to practice with them, so it's
Yeah.
not like stretching parents thin. So,
Mhm,
but like being able to see those kids, like some of those kids, you can tell when their dads don't practice with them at home.
mhm.
You can tell, like you said, sometimes the coaches are the only people that have the male interaction with them in their life, and
Yeah.
to see those kids grow from being what they are in week 1 to what they are in week 13 is crazy. And I love it. And then it's the whole
Mhm,
time is basically preaching the gospel. Halftime
yeah.
devotions, set
Mhm,
aside 15 minutes at the end of practice to go over scripture and stuff like that. And
mhm,
that's the ministry that I do. And I love it because it, like you said, it blends football with
mhm.
you know with the Bible, so it doesn't get much better than that. But I mean, and it's funny you talk about because the 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 years ago, I had a kid that I kid you not, he didn't even know how to run. Like he was like shuffling, like he could not
Yeah.
run. But by I think it was week 9, he caught a touchdown pass, and like my wife is on the sideline crying because she was so happy for this kid. But I mean, like the growth spiritually and like physically and emotionally as like a team,
Mhm,
because it's never the same team. It's like randomly drawn. Hey, you kids here, and you get new kids every year, and
yeah.
it's just like, all right, this is where like you're being a leader, you're being a man of God, you're teaching these. Sometimes we
Mhm,
have like 1 or 2 times I've had a girl on my team like,
mhm,
hey, we're gonna teach these young men to be men of God, because
yeah.
it ranges from ages 9 to 13,
Mhm,
so it's like the perfect opportunity, and
yeah.
I love doing it. So
Yeah. Our organization is starting flag football this year. I'm I'm not going to let Sawyer play. I've seen because he's already playing tackle, and the kids who play flag football, you can tell they don't like contact, and
yeah,
it's nerve wracking to see them like they're running alongside the receiver down the field, like tackle him, hit him. And they I call it the Scooby Doo run. Their arms are out,
yeah,
but they don't make contact.
yeah,
And it's because in flag football, they've told me, don't, you don't do that. But it's like, no, out here, like it's all game. Like it's the only time in your life you'll be able to just hit someone. Okay, so I need you to
yeah,
take full advantage and hit them. But
yeah. That's one of those rules where we always like to bend it. That's the way I
mhm,
coach. Is like, hey, we're almost like the Bill Belichick thing. We're gonna go as far as the refs are gonna let us go today. So if they're if they're on the sideline, give them a little push out of bounds. If
Yeah,
they're doing something, if they're coming at you straight ahead, grab their
yeah,
waist and kind of pull them down. If you pull the flags, oh well. If you don't, they're down
yeah,
anyways. See if they call it.
yeah.
That I like to coach a little bit of contact into there, both offense and defense. Let's see what they like to do. But yeah,
And
it's
Sawyer plays lineman right now. He's not
okay.
going to be a wide receiver. He's not going to be a running back. Maybe a linebacker, but linebacker actually looked pretty natural when they threw him in. He'd never practiced at linebacker, and they just needed a kid out there. So they threw him in at middle linebacker, and he bust straight through the line, made the tackle in the backfield. Well, maybe he's a linebacker. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
smart kid.
he puts in the work on the offensive line. He's pretty good. He told me this year he's going to be a beast. I said, "You're gonna be." He said, "Yeah, I'm going to be a beast when we start playing." I said, "Well, a beast is a beast every day. You better be
Yeah.
a beast right now. You better start right now. Every day you get up, you got to be a beast. Okay, a lion's not a lion on Sundays. Okay, a lion is a
Right.
lion every single day of the week."
Amen.
So I may spike his yogurt with some protein or some creatine, but
Yeah. Juice them up a little bit. All right, man. I appreciate you coming on.
yeah.
Any of the last shout outs you want to do? I will take your Spotify link you sent me.
Mhm.
I will also put in the description for this on YouTube and Spotify as well, so people will have the direct link to that. Any other shout outs you want to do?
Uh, sure, I'll be adding more tracks. I plan to just keep doing it. I'll just thank you for having me on. It was good to see you, good to talk to you. Um,
Yes,
Glad you're doing good. Got all the kids, and your wife's doing good. Everyone's doing good.
yeah, yes, sir. Hey, man. Like I said, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good catching up with you. It's been almost 2 decades since I actually seen you in person, so
Yeah.
we will be in touch.
All
Peace
right.
out,
Well,
man.
praise God and go Vols.